Hello everyone, I am back with another exciting React tutorial, and this time it's not just React, but we are going to throw in some Material UI, and we are going to build a complete e-commerce website. As you can see, this is for a fictitious company. They sell bags and they've requested us to build them a website, modern, clean, and simple. So what are we going to cover? Well, before we talk about that, let's just visit the website and see what we have going on here. So as you can see, we have a top bar and we have a menu and we have some icons. But let me warn you ahead of time, these functionalities are not implemented because the focus of this tutorial is to use Material UI and get the front end done. But I will be adding more tutorials where we can add this functionality and maybe connect it to a backend. Anyways, with that out of the way, so first thing is you can see there's animation right here when I hover my mouse over the company name, the brand name. Then we have a lot of typography with different kind of variants that is applied here. And as you can see from the colors, that's a custom theme. So I'll be showing you guys how to do that. And when I say custom theme, we'll be customizing a lot of things and even creating our own custom theme component, Material UI component. Actually, this shop button is one example that I've done, so I'll show you guys how to do that. Right here, I'm using animation that comes with Material UI. So this is a sliding animation, and we will be controlling the timing of it and see how we can achieve this effect where it slides in slowly, but then it exits pretty quick. And then if I come down here, I'm using a grid. So you will learn how to use a grid layout for different screen sizes also. And as I hover my mouse over the tile, then you see this animation where these buttons come into play. So we'll be using regular buttons, but then also icon buttons, and these icons are all coming from Material UI, so we will learn how to do that as well. And finally, at the bottom is a footer. This is also using a grid, and this, as you can see, we have an input field, and the colors actually are also changed to reflect the theme. So with that, also have the search search icon here. When I click on it, you get a full screen search, menu or search field where you can type something. So I think that's very nice. And if I click here, that actually slides back. So as you can see, when I click, it comes in nice and slow. Again, we can control the timing. I'll show you guys how to do that. So you can do that for your own website. And this thing is fully responsive. So now I'm going to switch to mobile view, and you will see a couple of things. Let me just talk about it now. The first thing is, of course, it will be a drawer. So this will go into this menu is going to hide, and then this is going to center itself. This menu right here is going to go to the bottom of the screen. And then also you will see that these tiles will change sizes. And then these buttons right here, they will actually change the display. So they're not going to be shown like this, but they will actually just stack under the photo. And then, of course, the same goes for the footer. So let me show you the mobile view now. All right, so here we are. We have the mobile view right now. This is on iPhone 12, I believe, Pro Max. And so the first thing you can see is the brand name is centered. And then if I click on the search, we still get the search, but this time the title, the font changed, of course, and this one remained the same. And then if I click on here, as you can see, we got the drawer with a custom. So I've changed the drawer, and you will learn how we're going to do that. We change the paper, and it's kind of rounded, and we get this nice divider, which is not full length but half. I can close on this, and as you scroll down, now if you're paying attention, you can see also that the hero image is now centered, and they are kind of stacked on top of each other. The the catchphrase and everything. Now also, as you can see, the promotion or marketing messages, it got smaller, and now it's just adjusted itself to the size of mobile view. Now, this is what I was talking about. So as you can see now, the products for mobile, you will learn how we can use the grid to customize it for different screen sizes. So I'm saying that for mobile, give me a actually a grid with 2 columns only. And this is what I was talking about. You can see the buttons right here. they actually changed to come under the picture, under the price. So that is pretty cool. The same goes for the footer. As you can see, we have a grid now, but this time we have two columns, one column, and then this again one column. And this also, I forgot actually, if I click on the full view, you get this, which is the full view of or the detail view actually. So we have the image, then the skew, blah, blah, blah. And of course you have a quantity. So we're gonna build a custom quantity component. And now if I switch this to full mode, you will see that the image is gonna come on the side and then the description on the right side. All right, so I'm gonna click on a detail. And this is what I was talking about. You see it changed, so it's responsive. All right, so now we're gonna see this on a tablet. All right, so now we have this on an iPad Pro, and as you can see, we're kind of same deal. We have the menu, you have your search thing going on, and as you can see, we're still keeping the 2x2, the 2-column grid. And then but this time now, is look at the footer, this change. And if you look at the bottom, remember those icons I was talking about? They actually come to the bottom when we switch to mobile view. And if I exit the mobile view, then they will actually go back up here. So I hope I have you guys excited for this, guys and gals. And let's, I guess, get started. And we're gonna build this from scratch. I'm very excited. So let's go. All right, so here we are at the start. So the first thing we will do is create a React app. So I guess everyone knows this. So, but if you're a beginner, then the command is npx create React app, and we will call it React Material UI, or let's call it Remui. All right, so I'll let it rip through. All right, so it is freshly baked. I can smell it. All right, so let's cd into it, and we're gonna open it in Visual Studio Code. Here we are. So, I mean, you all know what this is. So let's let me run this, fire this up, and we are going to see. So I'll say npm start, like so, and click enter. So it's gonna run on port 3000. Let me show you. So, yep. And we're gonna bring this here, and I'm just gonna put this side by side so we can see what we are doing. All right, so perfect. So let's make a change. I always do that just to make sure that everything is good. So what if I remove the header and save it? Sure enough, it works. So let's just minimize this so I get more real estate. All right, so I guess the first thing we should do is go ahead and install Material UI. And honestly, I'm just going to go on the Material UI website. There's no magic to it, so you guys can see. So I go to get started, installation, and I am going to copy this command. So I'm using npm, so I'll use the npm. If you're using yarn for some reason, then of course you can do that. So I'll copy this, Control C, not that, and I will minimize this, and we will come here. So if you want to get this, by the way, if you heard the Control tick key, that tick is that key to the left of one key, number one key, then you can bring this up so you can hide and show it. I'll paste that command and we will let it run. Cool, so that is done, and I'm going to close this, and what we'll do is we'll close this. So let's add a button just to make sure that test, save, see what happens. Cool, so we got the button here, so that means Material UI is working. All right, so where should we go next from here? So what we need to do is actually organize the project a bit. That's my way of working. You can do whatever you like, but I like to just put everything in place what I want and then kind of code it that way. So we're going to give this a structure, and let's start off by giving this a title. So the way we can do this is use a use effect, and use effect is a hook for those of us that don't know. And if you give it the square brackets empty, then it's going to run the first time when the page loads. And we can say document.title is equal to React Material UI, and let's just say this is the home page. And if I save it, and there you go, the title change. You want to give your page's title so that users know where they are. Okay, so with that done, I'm just gonna get rid of this, and we will start writing some code. But we have been doing that already. Actually, let's leave that here. I think what we need to do is structure our folders first, and then we can start adding stuff to it. So what I'm going to do is come to the source and right click on it and say new folder. So I'll add one for animation. All right. Then we're going to add another folder for components. This is where all the React components are going to go, custom components. Then we are going to add one for the context. This is where we're going to use context. So I'm not using, I never use Redux because I never actually had to use it. I always use React context, and it works very well. So, and less complexity, to be honest with you. Then we're going to use one data. This we're going to put some data like fake data, and then we need one for hooks, and what else? And of course, we shouldn't forget one for styles. So the idea is you create your components here, right? Your React components, and any styles that go with it, they'll go in the styles folder. Any animation is going to go in the animation folder. As I build this, you will see my way of working. This what I've been using, it works well. All right, so with that out of the way, then I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. I don't need this, and I don't need these. All right, so let's save it, and there should be no changes, of course. So what do we do? Well, the first thing we will do is we will use the container. Okay, so the container comes from Material UI. And you want to wrap your whole page in the container just to center things. If I save it, as you can see, that's what happened. And you can then specify, how much width you want to give to your container. So I'll say max width equals XL, so large. Right now, so I'll show you guys in the beginning where you get these things, and then later on you can just do it on your own. So let me bring that up. All right, so if you come here to Material UI, go to Component API, and we are going to find container. Here we go. All right, so if you come to container, then as you can see there are two things, component props and then the CSS. We'll be touching on these as we go along, but the thing I want to touch here is the max width. This is what I'm using, and I set the XL. So basically, this determines the max width of the container. So that's how I'm gonna be using. I just want to show it now because I won't be showing this again and again, but you know where to get it now. Okay, so now that we have a container, we are going to give it a background color. So we will say, SX. We can use the SX props. Comes from Material UI, and we can say background. And let's just give it FFF, so it's nice and white. Now I will be using different ways of styling the components, Material UI components. So this is one way of doing it. This is like a short and quick way of doing it. But if there's something more, that requires more properties to change, or at more component level, did you want to apply to different components, then we can use styles, which we will cover. Don't worry about it. So that'll come. So now with that done, then what we need to do is now structure the rest of the app. So what I can do is start with these squigglies and then some comments. And this is what I was talking about, the structure. So we need the app bar, right? That's going to go on the top. We need a banner. That's where the hero image and stuff goes. Then we need the promotions. This is where you stick your promotions or marketing messages and bombard the users with. And then after that, we will definitely need, the title. So maybe some sort of a title for the page or the products. And talking about products, we will need a way to display the products. Then we will need the footer, and I guess at the end we can then also add the search box. Now these things are hidden, and these are only triggered when somebody clicks on that button. So we will see that. We'll say search box and then the app drawer, right? So these two things are hidden. So with that done, then of course the whole thing will be covered in our theme provider because we will be creating our own custom theme. So why don't we start with that? So let me change this to, I think it's contained if I do that. There you go. So now this is the custom theme that you get from Material UI, and it's got a lot of the ripple and whatever happening. So let's start with creating our own theme. All right, so we're gonna go into styles, create a new folder. We will call it theme. And within the theme folder, I will create a new file and let's call it index.js. All right, so here is where we will create our theme. All right, so what do you start with? Well, we start with the colors, and I already have the colors, so I will copy them and paste them here because I do not want to, type them. So, and I've covered these things in my other video tutorial, so I'll add those tutorials in the description in case you guys want to refresh them. So what we can do is we'll say theme is equal to create theme. We're going to start simple, and we'll do like that. All right, and then we need to then export this. So we'll say export default, and we'll say theme. All right, so nothing's going to happen because we need to come over here to our app.js and wrap everything in the theme provider. So we'll say theme provider, and then it's going to ask, which theme, and we will say our theme should bring it. Come on, theme. There you go. All right, so I will take everything that's here, and then I'll move it up. The shortcut for this is Alt W and the arrow keys, and then I can save this. So of course nothing changes. The button disappeared for some reason because maybe there's an error. Yes, there is an error. All right, so it says that cannot read properties of undefined reading button. Okay, so this, I don't know, it always does that. The theme provider comes from the emotion React, but we don't want that. We want it to come from the Material UI theme provider. So what we can do is we can say MUI, and I think it's in the system. Okay, so that's one problem, and then I think let's go here, and then yeah, that's the same problem. This should come from styles. I think it's styles, and it says can find because we material styles. Sorry. Here we go. Yes. All right. So now you can see the colors are not applied because we're not using it. So we need to use the palette, and the way we do this is we say palette, right? And then we will say the primary color, and we will use our color. So the main color is colors.primary, and then we can say secondary main colors.secondary. All right, let's save. Wow, that works. All right, so we can apply our custom theme, and that's great. Now the other thing is we want to get rid of this ripple and then the elevation. So the way we can do this is we can come here and we can target the components. Say components, and we can say move button, right, like so. And then I can say default props. Gotta go deeper and deeper, and I'll say disable ripple and elevation. So I'll say true and disable elevation, true, save it. As you can see, the button is sitting there doing nothing. So awesome. So, all right. So with that squared and neat and whatever, we can leave this for now and let's start working on the app bar. All right, so we will come here to the components and let's start here. I'll create a folder. We'll call it app bar. And within the app bar, I will create a couple of files. So the first file is index.js. All right. So what I'll do is I'll create two app bars, one for desktop, one for mobile. It's just keep things a little bit nice and clean. So I'll create one. I'll say app bar mobile.js. I'll copy this name, and then I will create one for desktop. Like so. Okay, so what do we do? All right, so we're gonna come here in the index.js and start adding stuff. So I'll say export default function, like so, and we'll call it app bar. All right, and we'll say return us something. Okay, so the way we're gonna do this is we will say for mobile, you give me the, of course, mobile app bar, and for desktop, you give me the desktop app bar. Pretty straightforward. So how do we do that? Well, you're gonna come here and you're gonna use these hooks that comes from Material UI. We'll say use theme. And see, it's trying to build from Emotion React. You want to bring it from Material UI system. Actually, Material UI styles. I think that's the one. No. Okay, so we need to tell it to bring it from Material styles. Alrighty. So we're gonna bring this, and then the other thing I want to do is I want to see if it matches the screen size that I'm interested in. So we'll say matches. Not those matches that you burn. Use media query, user media query, not that. Use media. There we go. All right, and what do you put in? Well, you said theme dot. So you get this breakpoints property, and then you can say down. So we're saying, you know, match. If matches is true, that means I'm in the mobile world. Tablet, and if it's false, then I'm in the desktop world. So I will come here and we're gonna use this fragment, and then you can just do simply like this. If matches, so let's test this. I'll say mobile, otherwise h1 desktop. Okay, so let's save this. And nothing will happen because we are not using this. So I'll come back here and let's move this guy out of here. And I'll say app bar. Here we go, and let's save it. So currently we are mobile, and if I increase these desktop, mobile, desktop, I can do this all day. All right, so this is working. That's great. So now what we can do is we can focus on the mobile. Some people, what they do is they will do the mobile first, then they do the desktop. Doesn't matter, I don't care. Whichever gets the job done. So anyways, we'll start with mobile. And then I'll do export default, and I'll say function, and we'll say app bar mobile. All right, and we're gonna pass in that matches thing. And we need it. I'll explain to you guys why we need it as we go. All right, so what do we do? Well, let's, for starters, let's do something. I am going to come here and I'll take this mobile from here, and I'll stick that here. And then what I can do is copy this whole thing, go to app bar desktop, and paste it here, and then I can say desktop. All right, so with that done, then we can come here and change this to desktop, like so. And if I come here now and change this, then as you can see, the media query is actually working. So that's great. All right, so now we're going to start adding the menu at the top, and we will use the list item for that and list. So I'll start with the desktop and do it through here. So I'll just expand this a bit to go into desktop. Ooh, this one here. So now we can see the changes. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll take this out because we know it works, and I'll use these brackets. So we need a couple of things. We need a container as always, and then we need some sort of header and then a list. So let me write down the notes so we can follow it. So we need an Appbar container, then inside of it will be our header, and then finally will be the list, right? Like that. So before we get started, what we can do is come over here to the styles. So we're just going to follow this. As I said before, we'll have styles for every component. And then what I'll do is in the styles, I'll create a new folder and I will call it app bar. And within app bar, I will create a new file index.js like so. Let me just see if it's in the right. Yeah, see, it put it in the theme thing folder. That's not what I want. I want to put it in the app bar. So I'll say move. There you go. That's correct. All right. So now it's in here, and we can start adding stuff. So what I'll add is the container. So we'll say export const app bar container like that, and we want to use the styled function utility function. So as you can see, it's bringing it from emotion, but we want to bring it from material UI styles. So we will say material styles. All right. So what we want to do is use the box. We want to override the pretty much inherit properties from the box component. If you don't want to use the box, like use div, then you don't have to do this way. So then I can come here and do this. All right, so what do we want here? Well, I will just, I'm going to type it and then we'll explain. All right, so as you can see, I'm doing a display of flex, just giving some margin, justifying content, and giving it some padding, left, right, and top, bottom. So pretty straightforward. While we're here, we're going to create the header as well. So I'll say header, and I'll call this the container, like that, just to be neat. And again, I'll type this and then I'll explain. All right, so as you can see, am inheriting from typography because this will be a title. And then I'm just giving it some padding and blah, blah, blah. So the one thing you might have noticed is I'm using a font. Actually, this should be font family, not font size. So, and then here I can do font size and let's give it 4 EM. So where is this Montez? You must be asking. Well, we need to bring this in, export it. So to do that, we would have to install an npm package. All right, so I'll come here and clear this, and then I can do npm install, and we can do font source Montez like that. Oh, I think I forgot the @ I think. Right, so that's installed. So we can minimize this. And then I can come over here and add it. Okay, so I can do import and we will say, the at font source Montez. There you go, it picked it up. That's great. Okay, so I got my app.bar header and app.bar container. So why don't we use it to just see if it works? Let me save everything. So Control KS. And we got an error, and the error is appbar index.js. So I'll go to appbar index.js. That's the problem. So I should have put um well, let's just do appbar mobile, and then here I'll do appbar desktop. That should fix it. And where's the other problem? The other problem is now in the Appbar desktop. So if I go over there, there's nothing in it. So we need to put it. So I will come here and I'll say Appbar container like so, and that should hopefully get rid of the error. Yep. And then the other thing I'll do is Appbar header, right? And I think the name is my bags. That's great. So as you can see, the font got picked up and we got our header. So now the next thing, I'm gonna get rid of this. And now the next thing we're gonna work on is our list. All right, so for that, we will have to create a style component and we call my list. So we'll go back in the app bar and we will create it right here. And I'll type it and we will be back. All right, so as you can see with this one, I'm passing in is parameter type, and if it's row, then we display flex, but if I display something else, then that will be actually block. So we will use this for mobile and desktop, and as you will see. So now I go back to my Appbar desktop, and this is where I can use the list. All right, so what we'll do is say my list and let's start adding things. So the first thing I'll add is list item text, right? And this is a material UI component, and we'll say primary, right? And it will be home, like so. So if I save everything, and there you have it. Now we'll just copy and paste it a couple of times. And there you go. So you got these other ones. So I will have categories, categories, and then products, and finally, of course, we want them to contact us. That's like that. All right, so as you can see, the list it's in a block position right now. So this is what I was talking about. So if I come here and I say type equals row, then that should display it in a flex position. And then the other thing you might have noticed is I gave it that flex grow of 3, and this was 1, so this is 3. So I want this to take most of the space. That's exactly what it is. So we'll close this. All right, so with that done, then what I want to do is have an icon at the end where we can display a search icon. And for that, we would need to install Material UI icon. So we will come here and we will install Material UI icons. All right, so for that, we will simply do install at MUI icons material. There we go. That's great. All right, so that's done. I'll close this. I think I should, one thing I noticed is I should increase the font size because I'm getting complaints about some people not able to read this on their phones. So yeah, I think if I go to edit and I need to find this. All right, so it's there, and I think if I just type font size, will it let me? There we go. So what if I change this to 18? Will that work? And I close this. Yeah, I hope that's better for some of the folks that can read this. So I should have done this from the start, but it's not too late. So anyway, so we need to start adding the icon. So inside my list, I can do that. So what I will do is I will add for this one a list item button, like so. And then we want to add a list item icon, like so. And finally, we want to append a search icon. So we'll say search icon. Now it won't bring it, of course, so we need to bring it. So I can do import, and we'll say search icon from and at material UI icon material. That's right. Let's save it and see if the icons got brought in. Not really. So let's see why. Yeah, because we need to say search. All right, still not it. It just automatically appeared. Okay, Took a while, but yeah. All right, so we got our icons. Now what we also need is those actions on the side. I mean, sorry, beside it, we need for shopping cart, favorites, and maybe an account icon. So we can add that after the list. So for that, I will create a separate component and I'm going to call them actions. So I will come here under my app bar and add a new file and let's call it actions.js and we're going to add it here. All right, so what do we do? Well, the first thing is, of course, export default function actions like that. And we can do return, right? And then what we can do is, and then we can add the icon. So what I'll do is I'll say my list, right? That's what we created. That's the reason, one other reason why I created that style component. So we can just reuse it like that and it'll be a row because that's what we want. And then I will add a list item button, all right? And what we want to put inside? Well, we want to put a icon. So I'll say list item icon like that. And we can then inside of it, to close this, inside of it, then I can put the shopping cart icon. So I will say shopping cart icon. For some reason it can bring everything, it shows me everything, but not the one I want. Shopping cart icon from icons material shopping cart. I think that's what it's called. I'm not mistaken. So nothing will be shown because we're not using it. So I'll come here and right after this, I'll say actions. And there she is. All right, so let's go back here and add the other icons. So what I think I can do is just copy this and paste it a bunch of times. Well, 2 times actually. And then I need the 2 other icons, so I will copy them and paste them because it's the same process. And then I need to just type it. That's right. All right, so I got the icons. That was a typo. It was I put card, but it's supposed to be cart. Okay, so now we need to fix a couple of things. One of the thing is if I expand this, as you can see, it's taking up too much space, kind of distracting this view right here. We need to, fix this. So let's see how we can do that. I'll bring this back here. We need to use SX property for this. You could use a style, but I'm just going to show you how to use SX property now. So the one thing I will do is on my button, I want to center this. So I will come here, I'll say SX, right? There you go. And we will center this. So I'll say justify content and oops, you need to do the colon center. And there you go. It kind of moved a little bit. And then we need to take this and add it to the other button. So I'll add it to this button. You should see that move. And then I'll add it to this button. That moved. Okay, so that's one thing. Now we need to change the icons themselves. And we're going to come here and do that on the icon component. And we'll use SX, same thing. And I'll say display flex. If it'll give it to me, no. All right, we'll just type it. Flex. And the other thing I want to do is justify content center. And for now, we will just leave that. So if I save this, then it kind of moves more. See, now it's like right centered. All right, so I think I can copy and paste this to the other list item icon because it's kind of same deal. So I'll quickly do that. Great. All right, so that done. The other thing we need is a line in between them to nicely separate them. So what I will do is right after the, let's say, so that's my shopping cart, that's my button for it. Maybe I'll add one here. So we can add a divider if I can get it. Yep. And it's going to be orientation because usually the default is horizontal, but we want to have it a vertical. And if I save it, all right, so currently the divider won't show. So you need to add this flex item attribute to it, and then it will show. Then the other thing I want to do is I want to add one here. Maybe I should throw one right at the end of it. All right, so let's see how far, so far how it is. So that's how it is so far. I think we could even go and further squeeze this because it still is taking up too much space. All right, so what we need to do is we need to, as I showed in the demo at the beginning, I want this to go to the bottom when I'm in mobile, and I want it to stay here when I'm on desktop. So maybe we should prepare for that to happen. So what we can do is come over here in the Appbar desktop and do it here. I'll remove this because we took care of that. And there's a reason why I'm passing this matches prop because I want to use this to switch the component. So what I'll do is I'll say const component. Actually, it should be capital. And if we match, if we are mobile, then we will do action icons container mobile. Otherwise, it's going to be a desktop. And don't panic, I'll explain this. Desktop. Right, so what are these? Well, we need to create these. So what we can do is go to the styles, and that's my themes. All right, we need to go to our styles and create these containers. All right, so let's start creating the desktop. So I'll say export const, and we will say action desktop, right? And it is going to be a box, right, like we do. And what we will do is just like before, empty function. All right, so the only thing we're going to do for desktop, honestly, is just say flex grow of 0 because we don't want it to grow on the desktop version. But for mobile, it's going to be a bit different. So why don't I create that? So I'll come here, I'll say mobile, right? So that's my mobile. And then we need to add a couple of CSS properties to it. So let me type those in and then we'll revisit them. All right, so we have typed this again. It's a display of flex, just a background color. And since I want this to be at the very bottom of the page, and as you scroll up and down, I want this to stay. That's why I'm giving it a position of 0, bottom fix 0, left 0, and then 100% with a line item. Z index, that's important because I want this to stay on top of everything. And then again, I'm just giving it a bit of a border on the top. So, to I guess have a border. All right, so now we're gonna come over here and we are going to wrap this in the component. Before I do this, I need to bring this in. So let me do app bar, and I think I need to save this one here. All right, so app bar, app action icons actually. So I'm gonna save this and I will say actions. There we go. So mobile. And then we say actions desktop. All right, so I'll save this, and if everything worked well, we should see some action. So that's my desktop. And I go mobile, and nothing is happening. So let's figure out why. Because we're not, I think, passing this matches. So if I go to my actions, and actually no, I'll come over here to the index, and as you can see, here's my Appbar mobile and Appbar desktop, and of course we're not passing the matches. So I'll say matches equal to matches and I can pass this one here, and let's save. So if I come here to Appbar mobile, that's my Appbar mobile, and go to Appbar desktop. That's my Appbar desktop. All right, so now that we're passing that, so I can wrap this in the component. All right, we just created, and I will take this and move it here. Let's save it. All right, so one thing I just quickly realized that I'm putting this in the wrong place. I got too excited. It should not be here. It should be in the actions because this is what we're trying to do actually. So not sure if you guys caught this, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm gonna bring this here, and I need to then actually I'll take the whole thing, copy, and then paste it here. And I need to just take these two. I'll X them, and because we're already bringing in the Appbar styles, so I can add that here, and I don't need this. All right, and then finally, I don't need this component here, don't need here. So this one will stay as is, but I need to come here and wrap this. So I'll say component, component, right? And then I need to move the entire list inside. If I select it, just move it like that. And let's just organize this a bit. All right, so now into these actions, we need to pass that matches. So, and then over in our list, we're gonna actually pass that. So if I go to desktop, as you can see, I have the actions. So I'll say matches, right? And then I need to pass one. Well, I don't need to pass it here yet. All right, so it's saying matches is not defined in the Appbar actions. And if I come here, I have it here. All right, so I just need to save it. So now it's saved, and okay, so with the flex grow everything, by the way, you can see one thing that it fixed because on desktop it's flex grow 0, so this is nice actually. And now if we go mobile, here we go. All right, so now it's not showing here. That's because we actually don't have anything here. So let's add the mobile menu, and then that will hopefully, fix that problem. All right, so over here in the mobile thingy, I will start with this. And then the first thing we'll do is the Appbar container that we created before. And we need to bring those 3 buttons. So I'll say icon button like that. And what do we want? Well, we want the menu icon to toggle the menu because we are mobile. All right, so I'll say menu icon like that. So of course I need to bring this in. So I'm not going to type it. Honestly, I'll just copy and paste. Well, I have two, the search and the menu icon. I've showed you guys how to bring that before. So to minimize this. All right, so I'm bringing the menu icon. So that's my menu icon. Then the other thing I need is the Appbar header. So I'll say Appbar header that we created before. And I want to text align this center. And let's give it a variant of h4. All right, and we want that same my bags. And then the other thing we want to do is another icon button, and this time is going to be the search icon, like so. So let's save this, and there you have it. So now this is a mobile. As you can see, it's nicely centered. I have my nice search icon, and I have my hamburger, of course not doing anything. But if I switch now to desktop, then as you can see, that happens and that happens. Now the other thing you must be thinking is where is this? It's not showing at the bottom, so let's figure out where the problem is. All right, so the problem is because we are not using actions in the mobile view. So I'll say actions, and of course we need to pass the matches. If I save it, perfect. As you can see, the icons are showing at the bottom. So if I go now desktop, not this one. I want to do this one. It goes to the top. If I go mobile, come to the bottom. Splendid. All right, so one thing I'm thinking is if I come here, I might want to change the color of these icons because uh, I think we should go with some different color. All right, so the way we can do this is we can do this on the actual list item icon, and right here we can do color. Since we have a hold of the matches prop, so we can use that to our advantage. And I will do matches, right? Then I want to give it a colors dot. Oh, it should bring colors like so. Secondary. So let's see if this will work. Beautiful. All right. So I just need to add it to the other ones. That's great. All right. So now as you can see, like that, like that. All right. So that should take care of the app bar for desktop and mobile. You can see like so. All right, so we have to add, of course, actions to it. For example, when buttons, the click handlers for these, right? But we're gonna add this as you move along. So now let's move on to something else, maybe create the hero image, and we're gonna tackle that next. All right, so now we're done with the app bar. Now we can tackle the banner. So where we display the image and all. I think I'll remove the test button because it's just getting in the way and we don't need it anymore. So I can come here and delete and let's work on the banner. All right, so I'll come here to my component, create a new file and we'll call it index.js like so. All right, so in here, let's do a couple of things. First, we'll type the export thingy. With that done, then we can use that media query thing. So I think I'll come here and copy from index.js because I don't want to copy this again. All right, so let's say Control C, go back there and paste it here. And I think I need to do the imports. So I'll take it from index.js again. So it's the use theme and media query, and we'll paste it here. And then we can say return h1 and banner, and then I will come over here in the app.js file and use the banner like so. Let's make sure this works and we get the banner. Perfect. All right, so with that done, I can get rid of this because we accomplished this one. So we will need a banner container, a banner image, and banner content. So where do we go? Well, we go to the styles, and in here we will create a new folder called banner, and in here is where we're going to put our styles. Alrighty, so I'll come here and I'll say new file and I'll say index.js, and this is where I'll add my stuff. So well, where do we start? We can do export cons a banner container, and I want to use a box. You can think of box as a div in your CSS thingy. So I see did that again. I don't want it to bring it from here. I want it to bring it from, whoa, I want it to go to the top style. I want the styles. All right, so here we go. All right, so I got my styles, and then I want to do this. All right, so again, I'll type this and then we will discuss. All right, so far we have just a pretty standard CSS padding width and all. So let me use this banner container so any changes we make we can then see them live. So I'll come here and we'll wrap this in the banner container. Move this inside and let me save this. All right, cool, beautiful. I'm gonna go back here. Now the one thing I want to do is I'll show you a different way of using the breakpoints. So for that to happen, we need to pass in the, well, use the theme. So this kind of injected for you. You don't have to pass it. If anything else, then you would pass that, but this is kind of injected for you. And the way we do this, the theme is you start with a square bracket, say theme dot breakpoints, like so, and then we'll say down, right? So I'm saying down small, and we want to do something. All right, so what do we want to do? Well, I want to change the direction, and I want to change the align the items. The reason is on mobile devices, I want the picture on the top and then the any text below it, just like I showed in the demo. All right, so what do I do is I say flex direction column and align items center, like that. All right, so nothing will happen because we don't have an image or anything yet, but as we progress, as we add image and everything, you will know. Anyway, so that's that. Now what we also need is one for the banner content. So I will do export const banner content, and I'll type this. All right, so I got my banner content, and now let's use it. All right, so over here in the banner component, I can come here and I can say banner content, like so. Let's bring, well, no, let's get rid of this because we'll be now adding the actual stuff. So I think control one, no, I think control one is going to hide that. All right, so what we can do is we can say typography. All right, and let's give it a variant of H6. We'll say huge collection. All right. And then the other thing I'll do is we need a title. So, and then we need a description. So we're going to go back to styles and add those. All right, so over here in the banner, in the styles for this banner, we will do banner const banner title. And this will be inheriting from the typography. Did we bring that in? We didn't bring that in, so it should bring it typography. All right, it's not bringing it in. So anyways, we'll fix that. Let me close this. All right, so what do we need? Well, I'll type this and then we will discuss it. All right, and the one thing we'll do is on mobile devices, we want to change the font size. So we have to do that theme thingy. And now you must know by now that we need to just add it here and you can access it. So it's a theme dot breakpoints dot down on small devices. We want to do font size of 42 pixel, like so. So if I save this, yeah, it's going to complain because typography is not defined, so we need to bring in typography. One thing I see, it says MUI system, this should be material, right? And I need to say typography. Like so, there you go. That's fixed. Now, so we have the banner title, and then we also need a banner description. So I will actually just copy that and then from my notes. All right, so same thing. We're just using a line height, some letter spacing, and margin bottom, and then we're using some breakpoint. So for this one, I'm just saying down medium, and line height, I'm changing line height, letter spacing, and margin bottom. Nothing special over here. So now let's go over and use these in the actual component. So if I come here, banner and index.js, and we can start adding stuff here. Okay, so we have the banner content. We have this huge collection thing. So I can say banner title, right? And variant of H2, I'll give it. And we'll say new bags, like so. There you go. All right. And then what else do we need? Well, we need the banner description. So we'll say banner description, and this one will be a variant of subtitle, because we don't want to be too prominent. And I'll add some lorem ipsum stuff right here. So this is on mobile. So the image will be on top, this will be on bottom. But if I go to now desktop, it'll still be the same because we haven't added the image yet. But that's what it is. And now one thing we need to do now then is right here, before this banner content, we need to add the image. So for that, again, we need to create the style component. And that will be done in the, if I come, whoa, not here. If I come here, we can just add the banner image here. So I'll say export const banner image styled. And now this time I'm using the HTML image. And for this one, we will need to add the source, and whoa, we need to pass in the source and the theme. And then what I'll do is just do like that. Because if I want to use this somewhere else, then I can just pass in the source. So, all right. So what we'll do is we'll say source and equals to the ticks URL, and we will close it like that. And source, right? So that will do take care of that part. And I want this to have a width of 500 pixel. All right, and then we're gonna take care of the different breakpoints. So theme dot breakpoints are down medium. I want it to have a width of 350 pixel. All right, and then for small, breakpoints dot down small, I want it to have a width of 320 pixel and a height of 300 pixel. All right, so let's save this. So let's go back to our banner, and then we can use this right here. So I'll say banner image. Now, of course, going to ask for the source, and we need to provide that source. So currently, you see the image came here. All right, so first we need to bring the image. So if I come here, you can add it under the public. I'm going to drag the images folder and I'll be back. All right, so as you can see, I have in the images folder. Under it, I have the banner image, folder, the banner image, and then I have the sum for the products that we're going to use. So, just take them and use whatever images you want, but this is, you want to keep this kind of structure if in case you want to follow my tutorial. All right, so now we need to pass in this somehow inside the component. So what I'll say source, so I'll say images, and we'll say banner and banner.png. I'll save it, and there you go. Here's that cute dog. Now let's check that. So this tablet, I think, but if we go mobile like so now that's mobile. So as you can see, the font size actually changed, and now this is coming under a column. Now one thing that should have happened is this text should be nice and centered. So let's see why this is not centered. And if I go to my, so I think it's the banner content probably. And if I come here to my styles, banner content, yeah, everything is centered. Wonder if I need the align items center. Yeah, actually, nah, should have leave it on the side. I think I prefer it on the side. So there you go. So now our banner is done and it's responsive. So it looks good on desktop, looks good on tablets, looks good on mobile. You might want to change for tablets. Maybe the font, if that's maybe you want to change the colors, but that's totally up to you. So that'll take care of the banner stuff. And now we're going to move on to stuff after the banner. Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to the next item, and that is creating this scrolling message thingy or component right here after the banner. So you can use that to display images also, just like slide them. Just be creative and change it to whatever you like. So to get started, we'll come here to the components and I will create a new folder and I am calling it promotions because this is where I want to be displaying the promotional messages. And inside of here, like we do, I will create my index.js file. All right, so what I'll do is I'll create an array of messages in a real web app. Maybe you want to pull this from a database. But for now, I'll just use this. So I don't want to type them. I'll copy and paste because it's an array. All right, so we have the messages and then we will do export default. Maybe a better name would have been like a slider. So then you could use it for anything you want. But you know what, I'm just going to stick to this. So what do we do? Well, the first thing is we will just do return. Like so, and then we will use it in the index.js file. Sorry, in the app.js file. So I'll come here and I'll say promotions and let's save it. And there we go. So I can get rid of this part. All right, so let's go and get cracking. Okay, so what do we need? Well, first of all, we need a container, and then after that, we're gonna put other stuff in it. So for that, I will go over to my styles, and let me just create a new folder. All right, so that I have my style now for my promotions. Then we can start adding stuff. So the first thing I'll do is I'll say export const promotions container, like so, styled, and we'll bring this from system. Yeah, and then we'll bring in a box, like so. Let me minimize this so we have more real estate. All right, so what do we put in this one? So I want to have some padding on this and the rest of the display stuff. So let me add that quickly and then we'll get to it. All right, so I need to pass in theme here because I'm using it. All right, so all I'm saying is above medium, I'm having, a larger padding. On smaller devices, we just shrink the padding. And the rest is kind of same. There's nothing special except that I'm adding this overflow of hidden. If you don't do that, then what happens is when the item goes off of screen, and it'll actually cause the page to create these sliders, scroll bars. So we want to prevent that from happening. Just looks ugly. And then the other thing I'll also create is one for the message that I'll be displaying. So I'll create one for that. All right, so we're done. We're just adding a font family and the same thing on bigger screen. We're having large font and a smaller screen, so small font. Nothing special here. All right, so now we're gonna come over here and start using this. Okay, so what we do is we say promotions container, like so, and then the inside I'm going to have a box. Let me see if it'll bring it, box, and I want to have a display of flex and a center everything. All right, and then the message text. Now for this one, so we want to loop through the messages, and the way we're going to do this is we will have this and then some sort of an index. So say message index. Now you must be thinking, well, where's the index? So we're going to create this through a state and some sort of a timer. So I'll come here and I will do const say message index set message index, and initially we start with 0, use state, and we'll say 0, like so. If I save this, there you go. So you got your first message. That's great. And if I change the screen size, this should change. There you go. So you see how it's like bigger on desktop, and then on mobile devices, it's smaller. All right. So what do we do? How do we actually make this actually, slide? So there's something in Material UI called a slider, and that's what we want to use. So what you want to do is you want to come here and we will say slide, right? And slide has a direction. So we'll say direction is, let's say I want to appear from left, and then you want to show it at the at the right time. So we're gonna hook into that, and there's also a container. So let's do this for now. We're gonna add the other items to it. So I'll move this in and I'll save it. And as you can see, it just shows the message and then leaves because we're not changing this. There's a couple of things missing here. Okay, so let's start with the basics. So what I'll do is I'll create a use effect hook. I'll say use effect. All right, and we want to run this on the start. All right, this is where we set things up. Okay, so what do we do here? Well, the first thing we do is we set an interval. So what I'll do is I'll say const, I'll say interval. And the reason why I'm adding this, getting a hold of this interval ID is I want to cancel it when I exit out of this component because I don't want to keep this lingering in the memory. So I'll say set interval, and we're going to have our callback function like so. All right, so we want to run this every 4 seconds, right? So 4,000 milliseconds. And what we want to have happen is we'll say set message index. So we'll say take the current index and add 1 to it, like so. Now, if you keep adding that to it, you're gonna overflow the array. So that's why you want to modulate it with the messages.length. Right. So the item in the array, because let's say if you go to 2, then 2 modulus 3 will be 0. So the next, so that 2, and then if you go to 4, 4 modulus 3 will be 0. So you'll go back, and it's just going to keep cycling like that. Okay, and then so what do we want to do with this interval ID? Well, we should get rid of it when we return from this component. And in a use effect hook, the way you can do this is by simply saying clear no, not that, interval, and then I can say interval ID, like so. All right, so let's see what that does. Nothing, because there's something we need to do here on the slide, and there's something called the in attribute, so we want to change that. So what we can do is we create another state here, and we can call it const, and we say show, set show, and then you will do use use state. All right, so initially we're true because we want to show the message. All right, and this should be show. All right, and then I can come here and I can say in equals show. All right, so you can see how the message came in. And so see the next message, but now see it's not sliding. They are just coming, I mean, the animation is not happening. So we want to control that as well. So how do we do that? Well, the way we're going to do this is we're going to do kind of a trick with set timeout and all. So what I'll do is inside the use effect, when we start initially, I'll do set timeout. All right, and I will run this after 3 seconds. And you want to do set show false. If you have to keep actually making this true and false for the animation to happen. So this is what I'm doing it. And then inside of the set interval, when we do the message index thing, then you want to set this to true again, right? Because if you set it to false, then you want to set it true so the animation happens. And then again, I want to come over here and do this thing. What I'll say, make it false. All right, so if I save this now, and let's see what happens. There you go. Beautiful. So now you can see every 4 seconds our thing is sliding. So now that's cool, but the thing is going back in the left direction. I want it to come from the left, go in the right direction. So how do we do that? Fairly straightforward. All we have to do is come in the direction, and I'm gonna enclose this in the squigglies. So I'll say if show is true, that means we are appearing, then you do left. If it's false, then you do right. So let's see what that does for us. Yeah. All right, so as you can see, when show is true, it's coming from the left. And then when show is going to get false after 3 seconds, it's going to slide to the right. Now, the other thing is I want it to come in slow. So I want people to give time to, read the message, but we want to, exit very quickly. So how do you do that? Well, you can use something called the timeout. Okay, and this is an object, so we're going to do the double curlies. So I want to say on enter, I want you to take half a second, but on exit, I want you to take 100 millisecond. All right, so let's see what that does. Nice and slow, and then exit. And it's got like an easing thing going on, so that's pretty cool too. All right, so now I am going to expand this. And so you remember we did that overflow thing. We disabled that, and that was the whole reason to not cause any not causing scroll bars. If I come here and if I take this out, let me see what that does. So I'm gonna save it. There you go. See that jump that happens? Watch. There. See? So this is the reason why you wanna do the overflow thingy. So let me save that. So that should take care of that. That's there. Pretty cool. Nice. Yeah. Please like and subscribe. Yeah. All right. So the other thing what you can do is you might wanna, if you feel that the text kind of goes out of the container, spills out of it, then you can restrict it to the container that you are in. And the way you're going to do this is, it's not happening for us, but just in case I'm going to add it here. So you can do container ref, and you will do use ref like that. That's a hook. And then you want to come over here on your slider, and there's an attribute, or I think it's called ref. And you can, well, first of all, we need to set the ref. So I'll say ref is equal to container ref. And once you have done that, then you come here and then tell it that the container is, it should be container dot current. There you go. All right, I'm gonna save this, and should be still the same, but this is just to take care of the problem that I was talking about if you guys are having. All right, so pretty awesome, I think. So as I said, you can have this being pulled from a server or a database, whatever the case is, and you can change this based on season. And then you can use the same technique to pretty much display anything you want. So like a slideshow maybe, or a, I don't know, message board, whatever you want. And I hope this helps. So now we're gonna pack this one up, and we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, moving along. So now we are going to create the product grid. Alrighty, so if I come over here to my app.js, let's go over here. All right, so I will come over here like we do and create my folders. All right, so I got my products folder, and inside of it I have my index.js file. So the first thing I want to do is the export thingy. All right, with that done, then we're gonna go ahead and use it. So I'll come over here to my app.js file, and after my promotions, let's do products. Like so. Yay, got my products. I think I'm gonna get rid of the title as well. We're gonna get to the other one later. So now that I have my products, I think I'm gonna close my app.js file because we'll be playing here for a while. Okay, so there's two things we need to do. There'll be one product component for desktop, and the default will be for mobile. So what we need to do is we need to use that theme thing that we did, the media query. So I need to come over here and I need to do a const theme. So this will be used to switch the product component actually. So I can say use theme, all right, and see it brought it from emotion. That's not what I want. I want it to bring it from material style. So I'll say MUI material style, like that. I think while I'm here, the other thing I need to bring is import use media query from right. All right, so what do? I say matches is equal to use media query, and then we will do theme dot breakpoints dot down. So we're saying anything below medium, then that's gonna make this matches true, which is what we want. All right, so what do we do with this? Well, we're gonna use this to switch the products. So let's create the product, I guess. So let me close this. So what I'll do is I'll say const render products, right? And I'll say products. So now what you must be thinking, what was products? Well, products is, I think if I defined it correctly, it should be in the data. Well, no, it should not. So we need to create that in the, so I'll create an index.js file like so, and then I have a JSON file that I'll copy and I will paste it here. All right, let me show you what it is. So it's just an array that, since I'm not connected to a server, I'm just doing a mock data, and that's what you should be doing actually. So all I'm saying is just the ID, then the name, the price, the description, and image. So you can pull that from the database, the server, but for development, you always want to have a mock data. All right, so let me save this, and we will go back here, and let's try this again. So I'll say products. All right, so it's not going to give it to me, so I think I need to just do it myself. So I'll come here and I'll say import products from, and I think is data. That's right. All right, so I got my products, and what do we do? Well, we're going to do a map on it. I'll say map, and I'll say for each product, do something, right? So, and what do we do? Well, we're going to do a grid. So I will say grid. All right, this will be an item, and the key will be, since you're doing the map, you want to do the key thingy. We'll say product dot ID. All right, and then we'll say display of flex. Whoa, display of, this keeps doing that, I don't know why. All right, so we'll say display of flex, and flex direction is column. All right, and we want to center everything. I think I'm going to bring this on the next line. So I'll say align, whoa, items equals center. Okie dokie, like so. All right, so what we want to put inside? We want to put inside, well, something. All right, so what is that something? That something will be either a single product, and it will be either a single product type desktop or single product type regular, like mobile. So we need to go ahead and create that first. But before I go ahead and do that, I will come here quickly and put that in a container like so. And then we want to create our grid. So the way grid works in Material UI is you have a container grid. Then inside of the container grid, you have the item grid. So that's the individual items as we create. I'll show you that when we do it. So I'll call this the container. So this is kind of like a parent, you can call it. All right, and I want to center everything. Justify content center, and we want to maybe give it some margin. So for that, I'm just going to use the SX, and we'll say margin. And the way you want to do this is you will say 20 pixel. You will say 4 pixels. So it's top, left, right. You go clockwise. 10 pixel and 4 pixel. And then I will close this. And here, what do you want to do? I want to call the render products, right? Like so. Now, of course, if I save this, nothing is going to happen because I am not displaying anything. So this is where we're going to create the, single product thing. So if I come here inside the products, I will create a new file and let's call it single products.js, like so. And then I will do export default function single products, like so. And we will close it. Now, I want to pass in two props. So the first prop is the product itself. And then the other thing is the media query thingy that we saw earlier. All right, so inside of it is where all the fun happens. So what I'll do is I'll say return, right? And we want to create a, so basically what it will be is just the product image, and then it's going to have some icons, a button, and blah, blah, blah. You will see that will create. So what do we need? So we need a product. Well, let me comment this and then we can actually code it. Okay, if that's what you want. Okay, so I need a product container. Inside of this, I need an image. Then I need some metadata to about that product, like maybe the price or some description, I don't know. And then we need some product actions. Right, so these could be like add to cart, add to favorite, and share icons. And then also probably we'll need tooltip and what else do we need? And maybe the product footer. So this is where you might want to put I don't know, the price and things like that. All right, so a lot of things to develop. So the way we're going to do this is like how we have been doing it is I will go over to my styles and I'll create a new folder and we will call it products. And inside of here, I'll create an index.js file like so. So let me minimize this. All right, so starting from the top, what I want to create is export cons product, right? And this will be a styled and it should come from Material UI system, right? And what we want to create is a box, all right? And like so. And I will just type the CSS and we can discuss. All right, so I'm passing in a prop, and I've discussed this like a million times before that this kind of gets injected for you, and then we are going to use this to do the media query. And the only thing I'm doing here is up on bigger screens. I'm changing the position to relative. The reason is my child elements I want them to be absolute. So I'll show that when we get to it. And now the next thing I want to do is a product image. So it'll be export cons product image, right? Again, a styled, and this is going to inherit from image. And whoa. All right, so this will need two props, a source, and whoa, that's not what I wanted. I want a source and I want a theme. All right, so again, I'm going to type this and we're going to talk about it. All right, so just setting the source, I'm using the text actually, and then setting the width, the background, and then on small screens, changing the width to 80%, and then the padding to 24 pixel. So that's that. Now the other thing we need is, as I said, we'll need product action buttons and the product favorite button. So let me quickly add those as well. So the product action button is actually just an icon button, and the background is white and it's got a margin. So for that, I think I will need to bring in the icon button, and then the icon button resides in, so I'll say import icon button from Material UI. There you go. So that's coming from there. And the other thing is a product action button. So the reason why I am making this a separate item, because these two things will be kind of common. So I don't want to keep typing this like over and over. So I'm just going to inherit from this button. And we're going to be passing two props. Well, one of them is favorite, and then the theme will be injected for us. And based on the is favorite thing, we're changing the color to either primary or light. And same thing is on larger screens. So I'm having a position of absolute, and it's going to be top right. Now, see, I'm using the absolute on larger screens. This is the reason why I'm using relative. If you don't do that, then the absolute is going to be relative to your the page size. So I'm telling it make relative to the product card actually that we'll be using. Once we use it, you will actually see this in action. So next up is the product add to cart, and let's type that out. So one thing you guys might have noticed is the color is different, and every time you get this different color thing, then you know there's a problem. And I think the problem is we forgot to close this one. Yeah, so that's kind of one indication. So alright, so the product add to I don't know why I keep calling it add to card. Should be add to card. All right, so the add to card is going to be a button, and we need to pass in two props, and I will come here and add that. So the first thing will be the show, when we want to show this, and then the theme. Because I want this button to, on desktops, I want this button to slide from the bottom as I showed in the demo. So that's why we need this show thingy. All right, so let's type the CSS. All right, so as you can see, so I'm adding a width of 20 pixel and font size of 12. So that's the default on mobile. Then on desktop, I'm giving the position of absolute, some bottom 2% and padding. I want this to have some animation, and the animation will be a sliding from the bottom. So what we need to do is, well, let me add the background color. So I'll say background, and I'll say colors dot. Whoa, all right. Colors, if I can get it, yes, secondary. All right. And then I want it to have a little bit of opacity, just a touch. All right, so now before we go into the animation, I did one tutorial on how to add animation to your material UI in using React, and the animation came from Animista. So this is exactly what I've done is I have taken all the animations from there, and if I come over here, so what I'll do is I already have actually a folder animation. So I'll create a file and we'll call it index.js, and this is where I put all my animation, and I'm just going to take and paste them here. So I'll add a description to the video and the a link to the video in the description, so you can see exactly how I'm doing this. I take the animation from that website Animista, and then with very slight changes I basically create this, and now I can use them everywhere in my project. So watch that video. It's very straightforward, because I don't want to repeat that again here. All right, so now we need to add that animation here. And the way we're going to do this is we will say animation, right? So if show is true, then what will happen is we will say slide. All right, I don't know if this will slide in bottom, and then just some parameters. All right, so I don't want to type this, so I basically said that run for a half second and the cubic Bezier curve in both directions. And yeah, so now I think this didn't bring in the slide in bottom animation, so we need to, I guess, bring it in ourselves. So if I come here, I can say import slide, whoa, slide in bottom from, and let's see, animation. There you go. All right, so that is that. And so now we got the product add to cart, and then we are going to just add two more which is the product meta wrapper and then the product action wrapper. So I will come here and I'll just type them. All right, so for the product actions wrapper, this is where the action buttons will be, like the add to favorite and share icon. So this is exactly what it is. And the meta wrapper is just for the product, I guess, the meta description. So that's that. So the CSS is very straightforward, honestly, just like 4 lines. All we have is some paddings, display of flex direction, and I'm aligned the item center. Now for the product actions wrapper, so since this will be sliding in from the right side, so we need to add some animation. Now the animation, I want this only to happen on desktops, so that's why I'm going to add that theme. Because you don't have a mouse hover kind of on mobile devices, so that's why we don't bother doing it. Let's say breakpoints dot up. All right, so first of all, we're just going to do a display thingy. And we'll say, okay, if show is true, then make it visible. Otherwise, none. Right, so on mobile devices, we don't want to show this. And then the other thing is I want to have a position of absolute. All right, and I want this to stay on the right, and I want to be 20% from top. Now for this one, since I want this to slide from the right, so that's why I will say animation. If show is true, then we want to run this animation, which is slide in right. All right, and then I'll just add that. You want to see me typing that, so that's why I added that. It's the same kind of the other one. All right, so let's see if it brought in the slide in right. Yep. All right, so now that we have created all these styles, it's time to use them. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna come here and delete all that. And so the first thing is product, right? So that's the styles, all the styles that we created, we're just gonna use them here. And we have product, all right, so we need a product image. So I'll say product image, all right? So it needs a source, and the source is the product.image, like so. And so the next thing will be the product meta. So the product meta is composed of the price and the name. So I think we should create that as well. So if I come here and I can do a product meta.js, and then I can quickly create that export default function product meta here. All right, and in this one, just like we did before, we need to pass in the product and the matches, which we use for the mobile or desktop. All right, so what do I want to do is I'll come here and I'll say product meta wrapper. That's the one we created. All right, and I want to have a typography. Whoa. Typography and the variant. All right, so depending on the screen size, we either do H6 or H5. So I'll say matches H6, right? If it matches, then it's H6. Otherwise, it is H5. All right, and then I will also throw in some line height, and I'll just make it 2. All right, so this is where I'm going to put the product name since we want it to be prominent. And actually, I don't need to do this. I am going to do typography like so. All right, so now the other thing is after that, I want to add maybe a bit of a description. So I'll just do the same thing, typography, and then if it's a variant, and if it matches, I want to have a caption. Or if not, then I will do body 1. All right, and in here I want to put the $, because I want to put the currency, product dot price. This currency thing, maybe you also want to have this variable like being pulled from the database based on the current country. But for now, we'll just leave it like that. Okay, so I have the product now a meta. So I'll close this. And in here, now I can do product meta. There you go. So it takes the product and the, I guess the matches. So I'll say product equals product and matches equals matches. All right, like so. So we're gonna close that. All right, so this is our product. And I think what we can do is maybe use it here in the grid. So if I over here, come here and see if I can just use it, I can say single product. I should have called it single product, not single products. So maybe I should fix that. So I can come here and I'll say single product, and there should be single product. And back here, I think I can do now product. It will let me, yes, it does. And product is product. And matches is matches. Like so. So I can close that. And of course, there's a lot of errors. That's what happens when you write a lot of code. Let's try to take them one by one. Okay, so it is saying that product meta is da da da. So let's go over first here. It's line number 7, product styles. All right, so if I come here to my styles, product, index.js, line number 7, what's happening? Box is not defined. All right, so maybe it didn't bring it in. Okay, that was easy. All right, and what's next? So it's saying export product meta. All right, so there's a problem here, maybe product meta. And if I go to single product meta, ooh, this one, that one has issues. So maybe, all right, and what else? Which file? Product, single product, product image, and this one should be, yep, this one should be product meta. So this should be product meta coming from here. Yeah, that's what it should be. Oh, there you go. So as you can see, the products are coming in now, and we have this is the product meta I was talking about. We have the name, the price. So let's change the screen size, see what happens. As you can see, it got bigger, and then the grid is taking care of them coming side by side. We need of course work to do, but that's a good start. All right, because on small devices, I want them to get even smaller and have them side by side. So we need to take care of that. All right, so we have some progress, I guess. All right, so what we want to do next is, I guess, take care of this grid a little bit because it's a little bit of ugly. All right, so if I come here to my grid, products, index.js, and this is where we're going to do some helper functions that Material UI, well, some helper attributes that Material UI provides to us. And what we can do is we can do that XS. So these are breakpoints that you can use on a grid, and these are given by the Material UI. I'm saying on extra small, make it 2, and then I will say that on small, then you take 4, right? And then I can say on medium also you take 4, right? So as you can see, it's already looking pretty nice. Let me change the screen size. Again, we need to work on the bigger screen because we're going to have a separate for desktop, so don't worry about that. All right, so that's that. Actually, I don't need this one because when you do this, it means small and above. So anyways, I'll read it. Now, the other thing is I want to come over here on my grid and I want to add some stuff here. Not here, but here. So I can adjust the spacing, and the way we're going to do this is I'm going to have an object. So I will say that on extra small, you're going to take 2, and on medium and above, it'll be 3. So there you go. That increased the spacing. So that's pretty cool. Now the other thing I want to do is maybe adjust the columns. So I can say columns, this one. All right. And what we want to do is, again, this is an object. So what I can say, columns equals extra small, I want to have 4. And then on small, I want to have 8. Excuse me. And then on medium, I will be 12. All right, so that should take care of that. As you can see now, it got adjusted on bigger screen too. I got a nice gap, they're nicely centered, and it's looking pretty good. And what's good about it is as I go smaller, smaller, and smaller, so on small devices, as you can see, the grid and the images there are adjusting themselves. I think that's very neat. So it looks really good. All right, so there's I think there's one thing that I see that's kind of bothering me is this. There's something missing in the middle. We need to fix that. And I think if I go to my app.js file, where did it go? Right here. And maybe before the products, what I can do is add a box, right? Like so. And then I can do, instead of the box, let me put some typography, if I will get it, right? A variant of h4. I'll say our products, or you can call it catalog, whatever you want to call it. So there you go. Of course, it needs to be centered and all, and I'm sure you guys know by now. So you give it a display of flex, right? That's one. And then you want to do justify content center, like so. And I think it would be nice if we give it some padding. So there's in Material UI, there's the shortcuts. So you can do P for padding, and that should give you the padding. If you want to just do padding on one side, you can do padding top, or if you want to do padding bottom, yeah, there you go. Or padding all over, then you can just do P. So there you go. I think that looks nice. So I'm going to close my app.js file. Let's go on desktop. All right, so the gap is consistent. That's pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, I'm liking this so far. Okay, now we are missing those buttons, right? Add to cart, favorite, and all that. So we need to add those, I guess, quickly. So if I go to a single product, then this is where I can add those. So I will do product, and I think this is what we created, product actions wrapper. And inside of it, I need to add a stack, right? Like so. And then direction. So direction base is based on the mobile or desktop, either row or column. So actually, in this case, it doesn't matter. I want it always to be column. So because the reason why it doesn't matter is we are creating a separate for desktop. But if you are going to utilize the same one for mobile and desktop, then you might want it to do it that way. All right, so what we need is a couple of icons, and I will see if I can do like this, product favorite button. All right, and then is favorite, so we'll just say for now it's 0. And what we need is the favorite icon. So this is in the Material UI icons, so you can get it from there, and it's called a FA favorite icon. All right, and I think you need to, I showed that how you can import the favorite icons or Material UI icons. So that's that, and I will need a share icon and a fit screen icon. So I will bring this here, and if I save it now, there you go. That's your favorite icon. If I switch this to 1, then the colors are changed. All right, so it's not changing color, and there's a problem. So let's go over here and take a look. Is fav isFave is true. Let's go back. Ah, see, I'm passing. This is, so yeah, the names have to match. So I need to make this capital F. Cool. So that works. And if I switch this to 0, it goes back. Now, there's one thing that will happen. It's not going to show in the browser, but if I go to the console, then it's going to show this error that React does not recognize the isFave prop, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that's because I think Material UI is passing this prop to the DOM, and DOM doesn't understand that. So to prevent that error from happening, what you need to do is skip passing that. So you can actually, in the styled, when you call the style function, you can call, then there's this other object you can pass where you should say that should, let's see, should forward, I think that's what it's called, should forward prop, and then we can say prop, and then you do there's an arrow function. Well, prop does not equal to isFave, right? Like that. So we're saying if it's not fave, then so it's going to pass everything except isFave. So let me clear that and let me refresh. And now we don't have the error. So in case you're getting that error, that's the way to do it. I see there's another place we're doing this, the show. So I think we should do the same kind of deal. I'll come here and I will do should or prop or prop is not equal to show, so that you prevent that error. So every time you're passing like custom props, you should do this. See, there's another one here, so maybe I can come here, copy this, and I will come over here to the box and paste it. Save. All right, there you go. All right, so we're gonna go back here, and so we got the favorite button. So then we will do product action button, okay, like so, and then this will be a share icon. Okay, and I want to give this a color of primary. All right, so as you can see, it's coming on top of each other, but that's not what I want. I think this is where the row, yeah, there you go. So on the stack, I added a row. That's why now they're like that. We got the buttons, and after that, we need the add to cart button. So actually, I can't add like that, so I need the fragment. Right, so if I come here and bring this in, then I can do product add to cart, right? And I want this to be contained. All right, and with the add to cart, like so. All right, product add to cart is not defined. All right, so let's see. I can bring this here, bring this on next line. Product add to cart. There you go. All right, so now the product add to cart is here, but as you can see, it's not centered, and we need to figure out why. So this is getting rendered from here, render products right here. So let's see if I right click. So we need to figure out which element this is, and okay, so this is the button, this is this element. So let's figure out if where this is. So I'm going to start here, and the way I do it is I'll just add a class name is equal to test. I'll save this, and let's see where does test appear. Right here. So that's the one. Okay. So I mean, I do have a display. Oh, display. Is that the reason? Yes. Perfect. All right, so well, that was easy. But now I guess you saw how you can debug these kind of issues. All right, see, one thing I forgot is we need the large screen or detail icon. So maybe I can just copy and paste this, and then I can call this fit screen icon, and let's save it. There you go. So this one, we're gonna hook actions into these. but these will be to display the full see the product details actually. All right, so now this takes care of mobile. So we're gonna now we'll take care of the desktop version of this. So we'll come here and I will actually copy and paste, and I will call this desktop. And let me copy this name and I will paste it here like so. All right, so with that done, I think what I'll do is I don't want to type this again, so maybe I just want to see if it works when I switch the from mobile to desktop. So I'll say desktop. Let me just do that. And then the other thing we need to do is come over here and remember how we're doing this rendering thing. So now we need to change this to switch based on the device type. Okay, so what I can do here is I can say matches. So if it is mobile, then I want to show the mobile. Otherwise, we want to show the desktop. Maybe I can bring this on next line. Desktop. Actually, it is single product desktop. And we need to pass in the same props. So I will pass in those and maybe close it like so. All right, so it's not defined. All right, so I'll say import single product desktop. There we go. That got imported, and that's that. So now if I, so there you go. So we're getting that desktop, so that's great. So that's working. All right, so that's good. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to work on the desktop version of it because we want to, animate those buttons and all. So I will come over here. Okay, single product desktop. Okay, and that's fine. Let me reformat that. Okay, so we have the same product image, then the same product meta, and there will be a couple of differences here and there. So maybe what I can do is first of all, get rid of this button. So that should take care of that. All right, so now that that button is gone, so what I can do is right after the product image, I want to do product, and I want to do product fave button, and we'll do the same is fave equal to 0 for now, and let's save it. So that's my the fave button right there. And then the other thing maybe I want is actually a product fave button, and we need to add that fave icon, right? So we'll say fave icon like so. There you go. That's pretty good. All right, so that takes care of that. Okay, so now those other buttons that I was talking about, we want them to slide. So what we can do is start with the squigglies, and then I will do show options. So now you must be asking, well, what is show options? So show options is something we need to define. So it's a state. So I'll come here and I'll say use, well, I'll say const show options, set show options. State. So initially they are hidden, and then on hover we will be showing them. So we need hover handlers, I guess. So we'll say handle, whoa, mouse enter. So on mouse enter, we're gonna set show options to true, and then we need one when the mouse leaves, and you guessed it, will be hiding them. So I'll say on handle mouse leave, and we'll say false. So now where do we hook these in? This goes on the product. So I can say on mouse enter, and we can say handle mouse enter, and let me copy this and paste, and this will be leave, and this will be leave. All right, so on mouse leave and then mouse enter. Cool. So now we can come here and we can do our thing. All right, so I can do something like show options. So if show options is true, then we show the options actually. So what I can do is product add to cart. I want to show that button, and the show is equal to show options. Variant is equal to outlined, right? And what we want to put inside, I want to just put the text add to cart. Let's save it and see if this works. Cool. All right, so this is coming. Now, of course, there's this problem with, it's in a weird place and all, but we'll fix that. So that's not a big deal. All right, so I'll just organize this a bit. And the reason we're passing this show thing is because if you remember, we have this animation, so we're using that prop to actually do the animation. All right, so with that done, then we can now add the other buttons, which is the actions wrapper and everything. Okay, so since we copied this from the other, the mobile view, so what I can do is I can say show is equal to show options, and let's save that. And there we go. So now it's actually showing, well, we need to change this to column for desktop. Awesome. So let me expand this and then we can see this in full action. Okay, so that's working. We're getting the okay. I think we need to change the icon here, but they're sliding in pretty good, and we need to fix this add to cart button because it's kind of in the way. All right, so what I will do is I'll take this product meta and I'll place this all the way at the bottom, and let's save it. So now let's see. So there you go. So that fixes that problem. So now, as you can see, it is coming very nicely. Now, one of the other issue I'm seeing is the button is on hover. As you can see, it gets transparent. So we need to fix this issue. All right, and I think the reason for that is I think we chose outlined. So we need to change this to contained. Let's try that. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. And now the other problem is you see this icon, the favorite icon is showing up. And I think that's because I have this one. I think that's the problem. Yep, that takes care of that. Awesome. Okay, so as you can see, so if I do desktop, we're getting a nice desktop product grid. And if I switch to mobile, then if I can, then you get a mobile where these things now change position. So that takes care of your grid for mobile and desktop. And now we're gonna switch gears and move on to the next item. Okay, so one thing that's missing in this banner is a giant shop button. It's like a call for action actually. And we're gonna achieve this by making our own custom material UI component. So I could use any button, but I just want to show you guys how we can use a custom component in material UI in our theme. So I will come over here and go to my theme and index.js, and this is where we're gonna add it. Okay, so since this will be a custom component, so this will go under the components, and what we are gonna call it, we're gonna call it my shop button. You can call it anything you want. So now what we want to do is we want to do a couple of things. One of them is style overrides. So I'll say style overrides, right, like so. And we want to change the color. So for root, what I want to say is the color of the font will be colors.white, right? That's what I've defined my colors up there. And then when I'm done with that, then we want to now define primary and secondary colors. So I'll say primary. And what we want to do is the background color. And I want to say colors dot primary, right, like so. And now I want to also add effects. So you're not limited to just changing colors and all. You can do a lot of stuff. So let me just minimize it. What I can do here is I can say on hover, I want to maybe do something. So maybe I want to change the background color to something. What I want to do is lighten or darken the theme colors. So there's something called polished, and polished actually is an npm package that you can install, and through that you can change the lightness or brightness of your colors. So I will come here and I'll say npm install polished, like so. Let it rip. Okay, with that done, then I can come here and I can say lighten. There you go, from polished. And I want to do 0.05. And then you want to specify the color. So I'll say the primary colors. You don't want to change the color too abruptly. So you just want to maybe stick to the primary color and change the, I guess, lightness is what I'm doing. And then for the secondary, what I want to do is same thing. Background will be colors dot secondary, and then on hover I will do the same thing. So let me copy this and we're gonna paste it here. And maybe the only thing I will do is I'll just leave it at primary, but maybe actually I should do secondary. Okay, so now we created our own custom uh, material UI component. So how are we going to use it? So if I come over here and then I'll come to my banner under styles and index.js, and this is where we are going to, define this button. So we're going to give it some styles. Okay, so what I can do is I can say export const banner shop button, right? And I can say styled, and we will inherit from the regular button. Okay, and let me just do this. Okay, so what we want to pass, so the only prop that I want to add here is theme, and remember this gets injected. Now the other thing also I want to do is define some other properties for this button. So what I can do is I can say that should forward prop. So I talked about this in my other video, and I'll talk about it again, is if you don't do this, then all the properties will get passed to the DOM and you will get error in your console. So to prevent that from happening, we can just say here that, if it's not this prop, then pass it to the DOM. We'll say if prop does not equal to color, then you pass it. Now the other thing is I want to give it a name, so I can say my shop button, right? And then in the slot that I'm going to define is the root slot, like so. All right, and the other thing you want to do now is how will be the styles, I guess, overridden, right? So you need to provide a function, basically like how will be the styles applied based on the props, right? So we want to define that as well. So I will say override resolver, and we'll say props, and then styles. So you will see when I apply these, you will see how what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I want to do is first is styles dot root. All right, and then we can say props dot color. If it is primary, then I want to apply styles dot primary. If it is secondary, then I want to apply styles dot secondary, like so, right? So with that done, then okay, so button is not okay. I thought it was smart enough to bring that in for us, but no. All right, so with that done, that's the, I guess, the setup you can say. Then all left is just doing your some CSS. So let me quickly type that. All right, so it's just padding, some color and font weight, and then I'm saying that on small devices, small screens. I want to change the padding and the font size. So now let's actually use this and see this button in action. So I will come over here to my banner component right here, and we are going to use this. So what I want to do is inside the banner, right after the description, I want to do a banner shop button. And this is where I was talking about the props. So you can you can create your custom props and pass them. So I'm saying primary, and I'll say shop now. Cool, there you go. So you got your own custom now a button, well, material UI component. So as you can see, when I hover my mouse, that's what I'm talking about, the lighten or darken. That's what happens. And the other thing I can do here is if I go back to my styles, and I did the color white, I think I can get rid of that because if I go to my theme, go to my index, I've already said that the color should be white. If I come here and change this to, I don't know, dim gray, then that goes dim gray. So it's a very nice way of creating your own custom material UI components this way, and then you can use them in your app. All right, so things are coming along pretty nicely. And now the next item on our agenda is the footer. So I will collapse all this and come over to my components. I'll say create new folder, and we will call it footer. And then before I forget, I will come over here to my styles and create the corresponding footer. And so in here in the footer, as we do, create the index.js, and I can do export default function footer like so, and I can say h1 footer. All right, and then in my app.js, I need to use it. So let's get rid of this, and I can say footer if it will bring it for me. Yes. So let's scroll down and see our footer. Where's our footer? We are not seeing our footer. Okay, here it is. Here's our footer. So for some reason not showing on mobile, but we'll fix that. That's because this guy's hiding. So we'll get to that. All right, so I go to my footer, and what do we do? Where do we start? Okay, well, let's start with a box. So we're gonna put the whole footer in a box, and inside of it we'll add a grid. So this, okay, I didn't bring it in. Let's try again, grid. Okay, so this will be the container, and I spoke about this before. You have a container, then you have the items, and I will give it a spacing of 2, and I want everything to be nice and centered. Okay, like so. Let me close this. All right, so I have my grid now, and the first thing I'll do is I'll create a grid item, and on medium I want it to take 6, and then on large I want it to take 4. All right, so this will be the title of my footer. So what I'll do is I'll say typography, and we will say variant, and we'll say body 1, and let's just say about us. So that's the first item. Okay, like so. And I think I need to switch this maybe. You can see this footer in action. As you can see right here is my about us, pretty small. Maybe what I can do is turn this to a style maybe. So if I come here to footer, I'll create an index.js, and what I want to do is create a export const, let's call it footer, because I'll be using it so many times, so I'll just create it once. Footer title, and I'll say style. I want to bring it from here, and I want to inherit from typography. All right, we're not passing in any props, so we're going to leave that as is. So there's only 2 things. Text transform, I want this to be uppercase, and I wanted to give it some margin. So I'll say margin bottom 1 EM. Okay, and then the other thing is I'll save this and we're going to use it. So it'd be footer title. So I'll go back to my footer, and instead of this typography, I'll say footer title, like so, like so. Save it. There you go. You can see the change, that changed. So that's nice. All right, so now we need to change the rest of the stuff. So we need to actually do something to the box. So I can, instead of just creating a new style, we can use SX. Okay, so what I want to do is change the background first, because right now there's no background. So I'll say colors, colors. If you'll give it to me, sometimes it doesn't work. There we go. Let's see, colors, colors dot shaft. Okay, nice. Okay, and what we want to do is color for the font. So I'll say colors dot white, white. Let's see with that. I think that there you go, that worked. And then I want to do some padding. Now here's another way of doing a media query within the SX prop. So I want to change the padding. So to target different screen sizes, I can say on extra small, I want 4, and then on medium and above, I want to do 10. So there you go, you can see changed. So if I scroll down, and let me change the screen size, as you can see when I go mobile, well, that changed, but it's hidden by the thing, but we'll fix it. So there you go. You can do, that's another way of doing media query in the SX. And then padding top, I want to do 12. Padding bottom, I want to do 12. And I want to have nice big gaps. And let's just give it some default font size. All right, so I want to do an extra small. I want to do 12 pixel. And on medium screens and above, I want to do 14 pixel. So that's that. So this won't change because we're already using the footer title. Now the other thing I want to do is, now so we have about us, so we need to add something to it. Okay, so how do we do? We say typography, and a variant will be caption 2. All right, so this will be some lorem ipsum stuff. Like so. So that's my about us. And then after that, I want to maybe give the show some icons, so like social media icons, and I can just bring them here. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I have them all. All right, so what I want to do is I will create a box under this, and let's give it some props. So I'll say margin top will be 4, and I want to give it a color, maybe colors dot dove gray, like so. And then I can add the icons. So I'll say Facebook icon. Whoa. And let's give it some margin right of 1. Okay, and the next one will be Twitter icon. Again, same thing, margin right of 1. And finally, the Instagram. Not like that, like this. Save it, and there she is. Well, there they are. Okay, so that takes care of that. And we need to add the other stuff now, which is the, order tracking and privacy and blah, blah, blah. All right, so what do we add that? Well, so I did this grid, so I need another grid item now. So I can do grid item, and again on medium I want this to take 6, on large I want this to take 2. Because of the, see here I did 4 because I have some text I want to show this. So here I don't have that much, so that's why I'm not doing it. So I will close that. And then again, footer title. That's why we created that. So variant is equal to body 1. And this will be information. like that. So there you go. And then we want to add now, since this is a list, so we will use a list like this. All right, so a list then has text. So I'll say list item text. All right, and inside of it, then you can add your typography or whatever you want to call it. So I'll give it a line height of 2, and this will be a variant of caption 2, not 21, 2. All right, so this will be about us, and we can have the other one. So I will just copy and paste this because I'm lazy. So we will do line item text again, and I'll copy and paste, paste, paste. All right, so this one will be order tracking. This one will be privacy and policy. Well, privacy. So we want to do that and ampersand thingy policy. And this one will be order tracking or terms. Well, we did that already. Terms and conditions. Beautiful. All right, so we got these, and what do we do? Where do we go from here? So now we need to add 2 more grid items. So right after this one, I can add grid. You gotta getting the hang of it now. So this on medium, I want it to take 6. On large, I want it to take 2, not 3. And again, photo title. So I'm lazy. I'll copy this one. And I will call this one newsletter. All right, so this one is newsletter. And what we want to do, well, actually, no, I wanted to put my account here. So account. Okay, my account is here. And so this is the exact same as that one. So I'm not going to type this. So I'll say list. And right after that, we'll paste it. And we just need to change a couple of things. So login and my card. Let me just quickly type this. All right, so here is your my account thingy. And then finally, I need a newsletter sign up thing, right? We want them to sign up. So on medium, I want this to take 6. And on large, I want this to take 4, right? So this time it's a bit different. And then again, the same photo title. All right, so for this one, then I will create a stack. Okay. I don't know if it brought it in. Let's try it again. Stack. There we go. And then we need the text field for it. So for that, I think I'll create a custom text field. So if I come here to footer, and we can create one here. And the reason why I want to create a custom text field is I just want to change some colors. And I want to show you another way of targeting Material UI components at class level. So I'll say export const subscribe text field. Okay, styled. I want to inherit from the text field. And I think I got one extra. Yeah. Okay, so how do we target the, I guess, a text field? Right, so what I can do is say Material UI input label dash root. So, and you must be thinking, well, where did you get this? I will show you exactly where I got this. So I'll say color, and I say colors dot secondary. And the other thing I want to add is one for the MUI input root before, right? And this one border bottom. I want to do 1 pixel solid, rock solid colors dot secondary, like so. Whoa, lots of errors. All right, where's the problem? Expected a, all right, index.js line number 19. Number 19. Whoa, okay, didn't mean that. Okay, it doesn't like that. I think there's some issue. Yeah, the issue is right here actually. This should be like this. Yeah. All right, so now I can come here and use this. All right, so we can use it here and I can say subscribe text field, say color of primary, and label will be email address, and variant, not value, variant is standard, like so. So save it. There you go. So you got this. So now you see how when I click it, the color is now going to the secondary. So you must be thinking, well, how did I get that? Those class names right here. So if I right click and inspect, and these are actually right here. So one is for the label. So the label is this email address. So right here, that's the label, and we input label root. See, that's my color. And then for the that's the line, and this actually goes in the before. And this is exactly what I did. I targeted MUI input root before, input root before. So this is another way of changing. If you can get to the overrides, you can do it this way. Now you know. All right, so now we need to add a button. All right, and we want it to have a start icon, and that should be the send icon. So let me copy that. All right, so I'll come here and I'll say button, and we will say start icon, and it will be a send icon, like so, and we will give it a color of colors dot white. Okay, it brought one too many. I think that's, yeah, it should be like this. And then we want SX, margin top of 4, margin bottom of 4, and a variant of contained. And we'll call this subscribe. Okay, so one mistake is this should be, because we're putting a button inside of a text field. I think that was the problem, but there you go. All right, so we got our button. I think that's looking nice. And if so let me change to, desktop. As you can see, they'll take all 4 columns. And as I switch to a mobile view, then this is going all full across the row, and then they're setting up nicely. All right, so that takes care of the footer. And now, oh, okay, I think there you go. That's a proper mobile view. All right, so now that takes care of the footer, and we can now move on to next item. All right, moving along. So the next thing we will do is create the drawer. And if I go to app.js, and that's the app drawer. All right, so we'll come back here, and in the components, I will create a new folder. And within that, we'll create the index.js. All right, so export default function, and let's call it app drawer, like so. Yeah, and then I can say return drawer. So let's go to app.js and actually use it. So you can put this anywhere because we'll be hiding and showing it, but I'll just put it after the footer, and I'll say app drawer, like so. And I can get rid of this. All right, so I think it should be after the footer somewhere here. Here, see? Because it's hidden by the app drawer. All right, so let's get rolling. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go into the app drawer and start utilizing. So Material UI comes with its own drawer, so we can use that, but we will be, of course, changing a bit of stuff. All right, so what I can do is I'll say drawer. All right, and we want to put a list, and this is just a list of items we will have, and then I'll say list item button. All right, and what we want to put inside the button, I'll say list item, whoa, not that, item text. Let's call it home. Okay, so if I come here, then there's nothing because the drawer is currently, the state is closed. So I can say open is equal to true. We're saying that the drawer is open. Of course, we'll be controlling this when we click on the button, but this is just for us to work. Okay, and then I'll quickly create the other ones. Okay, so we got our home categories, products, and blah, blah, blah. And what I want to do also is maybe add a divider after every item. So I can come here and I can say divider like that. And also the divider is going all the way to, across. Maybe I want to just have it go halfway. So I can do variant is equal to middle, like so. So there you go. Now I have to do this for every divider that I create. So there's a nifty way that you can do this in Material UI. And what I can do is I can say const middle divider, right? And we can say style. No, not the emotion one. I want to bring style system, yeah. And I want to do is pass in a function, right? And what do you want to do in this one? Well, actually, we are returning a component, so we shouldn't be using the squigglies. All right, so what I want to do is I will say, give me a divider, okay, and the variant is middle. And in case you want to pass any props, so you can do like this, props, right? And then you would have to, of course, pass that here, like so. All right, so then I can come here and I can say middle letter, and the effect is same. So let me copy this and bring it here so you will see how you can quickly create this. This is helpful if you have like a lot of components and you want to apply changes. And this is the CSS that will be applied to it. So you want to change the color or anything that can be done here. So I think that was a cool thing that I'll share. All right, with that done, what we need to do is maybe change the color, change the shape of it a bit, and maybe the width. So I could create a style and do it that way, but there's a cool way of doing this, and that is through our theme. So if I come over to my theme, so here's my components, and what I can do is inside of my component, I can do, if I come here, maybe I'll just do it here. I'll say MUI drawer, right? And then I can say style overrides. And what do you want to target? You want to target the paper. So think of the drawer as a paper, and then the things are overlaid on it. So we want to change the paper. So I'll say paper. So what we want to do is change the width. So I'll change this to 250, right? And maybe I want to change the background. So I'll say colors primary, like that, all right? And then I want to change the color of the font, so I'll say colors dot secondary, like so. And I want to give it some border radius, right? So I'll do like this: 0 pixel, 100 pixel, 0 pixel, 0 pixel. That should give it that rounded thing on the top. And then I also want to add maybe a border on the right. So I will do 1 pixel solid, say colors dot primary. So that's a very thin kind of line. I think if I change this to 2 pixel, maybe it's going to be a bit stronger. Maybe I should change this to secondary, and then you can actually see it. So there you go. So that's your, if you really want a big border, then you can do this, but that's up to you. So I will leave it at 1 pixel. Maybe leave it out completely, but anyways. So that's your drawer. Now the other thing I want to change is the color of the dividers. So we can also do it at the theme level. And what I can do is I can come here and I can say muy divider like so, and then again style overrides, and then I want to target the root component, border color, and this will be, we'll just lighten it a bit. So lighten comes from polished, and I'll do 0.2 colors dot primary. Let's see that. There you go. That's a nice borders colors. All right, so that's how you can customize the drawer and everything. Now we're gonna hook things and see how we can. Let me close this, and let me close this footer also. We don't need it. All right, so if I make this false, as you can see, it'll hide. If I make it true, it will show. And this will be the drawer will be controlled by the button that we have, the hamburger icon. All right, so now to control the opening and closing of the drawer, we will need some kind of a state. So to control through state, and we're not going to implement it that way. We'll actually do it through something like a context. So I think it's a cool way of doing it. So what I'll do is I'll come over here in my right here, and I'll create a new folder, and we will call it context, right? Okay, I think that already exists. I already created it. Yeah. All right, so inside of it, I'll create a new folder called UI, and then within that, I'll create an index.js, like so. All right, so the first thing I'll do is I'll say export const. We'll say UI context is equal to create. We'll create context that comes from React, and then I'll say export const use UI context, and this will be used. So that's a hook. Use context, and which context? Well, UI context, like that. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so then we need a provider. So I'll say export const UI provider. Okay, and then it's gonna have children because we're gonna wrap the whole app within this thing. We'll say children, and I will say return, and we will UI context dot provider. All right, so it's going to have a value that we need to provide, and we will provide that. So let me just do the children like so, and now I can come here and I can say const drawer open, set drawer open. All right, and we will say use state false. So initially it's not shown, and then I can say const value is equal to, so this is an object. We'll say drawer open, and we can say set drawer open. Woo! All right, and then here I can just do value like that. All right, so now you will see how we can use this to toggle the drawer on and off. So for that, I will go to my app.js and we will wrap things here. All right, so in here, I will do UI provider if I can get it like that. And then we take everything that we have and we put it inside here. All right, so no issues, no errors, that's good. And then I can come over here to my components and I'll come to my drawer and we can use it. So I can do something like const drawer, oh, not this one. I'll say drawer open, set drawer open. We will say use UI context, right? That's one we created. All right, so we need a button here that for now we can just test it. So I can say when drawer open, and all right, so we'll say a button like so, and then on click, you need to set a click handler, and when this is clicked, what I want to do is set drawer to false, like that. And I want to close this, and let's just call it close or open, whatever you want to call it. All right, so I guess the button is now hidden behind the drawer, so we need to, of course, change that. So I'm thinking maybe you can create a custom button. For that, we will come here, and since this is in the app bar, so I don't need to create another style for drawer. You could go ahead and do that, but I think I'll come here in the app bar and do it here. So I'll just go all the way to the bottom, and I'll say export const drawer close button styled like so, and then this is going to inherit from icon button. And all right, we will come here, and what I want to do is I want to give it a position of absolute, like so, because I want this to position on the right side, like outside of the drawer, so that's the reason. And let's just make it top 10, top 10. Left will be 250. That's the drawer width, remember. And maybe give it a Z index of 1999, because I want this to stay on top of everything. All right, so then what I can do is, instead of this, I can do drawer close button and drawer close button. Now the one thing we need to do is, since this is an icon button, so we need to add that icon for it. And I think what I will do is use a close icon from the material UI icon. So I can do close icon like so. Okay, and then on this one, I'll throw in some SX props just to see things. So I'll say font size 2.5 rem. And the other thing I want to do is then give it some color. So we'll say lighten from polished, and I'll say 0.09, and we'll say colors dot secondary. All right, let's see. All right, and then one issue I see is the button is inside the drawer, so that's why it's kind of hidden. We need to bring this out. So I'll cut this, and of course I can just do it like that. So I need to use the fragment, and then I can do this, save it. All right, so you must be thinking where's the button? And that's because, remember, the drawer open, we use the use UI context, and that was set to false. So if I come here and go to my context, so that's why. So if I set this to true, then this should show the button like that. And so initially I'm going to set this to false. All right, and I'll go back, and I also want to now change. All right, and then I also want to come here, come here and set that here so that the drawer is invisible. And now we're going to hook this into here to open and close the drawer. So this one was in the app bar right here, I think the actions. All right, so, and since this is only for mobile, so we will only use it here. So I can say const, I can say set drawer open, and we will say use UI context, like that. And then I can come over here, and on the menu icon, I can add that. So I'll say on click, or we can add the click handler. You can say set drawer open to true, like that. So all right, so set drawer open to true. So if I click, there you go. So if I click, it opens, and when I click this, closes. Crazy nice. Alrighty. So now you can see that how we have a nice drawer. And if I go to desktop, and of course we have our desktop. and the drawer is gone. So if I go back to my mobile view like that, then I get my drawer. Nifty. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next item. All right, so now we're gonna see how we can create a full page search using Material UI. So when I click on this button, then it will just slide that. All right, so where do we begin? We begin right here, and I'll come over here to my components and I'll create a new folder. We will call it search, and inside of here we will create the index.js file like we have been doing. And inside the index.js file, I will do export default function search box like that. All right, so now before I add the rest of the stuff, what I want to do is go to the context, and we use that for the drawer. And it's a similar concept where we can now use one for our search box. All right, so I'll say const, I'll say show search box set show search box. All right, and we'll just do use state. And then I can come here and I can say show search box set show search box. So now it's available to the entire app. All right, we're done with this one. So I can close this, and then we can now go to the search thingy and use it. So what I'll do is I'll say const so show search box set show search box, and we will use it, grab it from the use UI context. All right, and then we will return main. All right, so we want this to slide from the top, and the way we do this is we have used it before. We'll say slide, and the direction is down, and in will be based on the show search box. All right, and let's give it a timeout of 500 milliseconds. All right, so that's that. So now we need a container to hold all the stuff. So maybe like a flex container. We can create that here. So I'll come over here to styles, and I will say new folder, and we'll say search and index.js. Yes. All right, so I can say const is search box container. All right, and we will use box for this. And whoa. All right, so I'm going to need a theme because I might need access to colors. All right. All right, so where do we begin? Well, it's going to have a position of absolute because it's gonna, come from we're gonna slide this and stuff, so it's better to have position of absolute. And let me just type the rest of the CSS. All right, so I'm giving this a Z index of pretty much the highest I have in the app. All right, so I can come over back to my search. All right, so I can come here and I can do search box contain. Okay, I probably, yeah, export const search box container. So that's probably the reason. So let's try this again. Search box container, here we go. All right, so I got my container. And one thing I see that I don't see it, well, because we're not using it, I think. If I go to app.js, yes, so this is the last item. I can say search box, yes. All right, so search box container was not found. Cool. So let's see why, because import search box container from, all right, styles and search. That'll make you happy. Ooh, okay. What's the problem here? So if I go back to my styles, And oh, I am in my styles. All right, it's been a long day, so I should go back to my search right here, and this is where it should be. So I know actually that is good. It is being imported. The only problem is the box, and that is in the search index.js styles. So if I come here and I can say import box from that, and that fixes everything. We're not seeing this here because remember, if I go here, it's set to, this is set to false right now, so it's not going to show. But there you go. I mean, it's there. All right, so I'm gonna do nice like slides, blinds. All right, so let's add the rest of the stuff. And what we need is a search field, and we need, the rest of the stuff. So for search field, I think I'll create a custom search field again. I'll go to my styles and I will say export cons search field, and we will say a styled, and this will come from the text field like that. And what I want to do is I will just I don't know if I need access to the theme. I actually used one here but didn't use it, so we'll just leave it. All right, so I talked about how we can target stuff by class names, so that's what I'm doing. So I'll say MUI input label dash root. All right, and I want to give it a color of font size. That's the font size color, so I'll say secondary. All right, and then what I want to do is the input. So MUI input dash root. And for this one, I want to do a font size of 1 rem. And now I think I might want to change the font on mobile devices and desktop. So that's why I need that theme. So I'll say theme.breakpoints dot up, so middle and up, sorry, medium and up, and I want to do font size of 2 rem, like so. All right, and otherwise I'll just do a color of colors dot secondary, like that. So that's for the root. All right, and then last we want one for the MUI input root, and this is the line. So I'll say before, I'll say border bottom. I've done this for that subscribe thingy. And I'll say solid, and let's do colors dot secondary. And finally, I'll do a padding, and let's just do 0, 0, 0, 40 pixel only on left side. All right, so I'll go back to the search thing and we can actually use this. So I will come here and I will do search field. There you go, brought it. All right, so color is secondary, variant is standard, and I want this to be full width, and let's just give it a place holder of search. Okay, let's save it. Let me make this true for now so we can see this. Cool, so this is what I'm talking about. And if I go bigger, see how the font changes. If I go small, that's what happens. So that was the media queries about. All right, and then we also want to have a button at the end that we can press to search whatever we want. So for that, I'm gonna need a close icon. Well, I need two icons, one to close this because we don't want to keep this on the screen forever. And we also want to have a search icon. So that's why these are coming from the material UI icons. All right, so right here, I can say, I can close this actually. I'll do icon button like that. And then we'll do search not that, icon. All right, and let's just give it some props. So font size. All right, so for extra small screen, I want to do 2 rem, and for medium screens, I want to do 3 rem. And I will then come here and I will say color, and I want to do a color of secondary. All right, so that should close that. Okay, we got a problem because there should be an equal sign. There you go. So let me bring this on so you guys can see what's going on. So this is for the SX, that's for the search icon. All right, so I have that, and then I need the another one, which is the close. So I'll say icon button, and this one actually will be an absolute. So let me first add it. So I'll say close icon, like so, and SX will be font size. I want this to be nice and big for REM, and color will be secondary, like that. All right, so now of course it's gonna, because of the display of flex and all, it's coming here, so we need to change this. And the way we're gonna do this is with SX. I don't wanna create another style for this, we'll just do it right here. So position will be absolute. All right, and I want top to be 10, and I want right to 10. Like that, so there you go, that goes up there. And then the other thing I want to do is when this is clicked, I want to close this. So we were gonna add a handler, and we say set show search box, right, to false. All right, let's try this. Okay, we might need to refresh this. Oh, the problem is we set this to true, so that's why. So if I come here and bring this here, so now this is going to disappear. So we need to hook this up into here to open and close this. So I'll go back to my Appbar, and I think it was actually we need it in both ways, both places. So this one will be set show search box. We need that, and I need this in the when I click the glass icon. So let's see, here we go. All right, so I'll do on click, right? I'm going to do set show search box to true. So if I click it, that shows it. When I click, this goes away. Crazy nice. All right, now the other problem is if I go to desktop and if I click it, nothing is happening. So we need to do the same kind of thing in the desktop, the UI, blah, blah, blah. So if I come here, I can do const set show search box, and you can say use UI, wow, not that, use UI context. All right, and then where's my search icon? Right here. So I can say on click. Okay, and I can do set show search box to true, like that. So if I click it, comes down, goes out. So it works on desktop, and then if I go mobile, and this works still, and my drawer. How awesome is this? Nice. All right, so I guess that will wrap up the full screen search. Now we will see how we can add a dialog component to this, because what I want to have happen is when somebody clicks on this detail thingy icon, I want to show a dialog, and this will show the details. So maybe a bigger photo or more photos and a little bit more description and all. So I think that'll be very exciting. All right, so I'll come here to my components and I'll create a new folder and we'll call it product detail, like that. And inside of it, I will create the index.js file. All right, so what I'll do is I'll say export function product detail, right? And we'll do like that. Now we're gonna pass in a couple of props. So I guess when to open it, right? And then we want a callback function that when it closes, we might want to do some action. And then the product, right? We need to show the details of the product. So that's why we're going to pass that in here as well. Okay, and then I will say return something. Okay, so we return a dialog. Okay, like that. Now a dialog has a dialog title, so we'll say dialog title, and we will do like that. All right, and then the dialog is going to have a body, so we will add that as well. So we will say dialog content. All right, so these are the pieces of a dialog. Now, so we want this dialog to actually slide, and for that we're going to take advantage of something called transition component. So we'll say transition component, and what will that be? Well, that will be a slide in transition, and we're going to create that here. So we will say function, so it's a function, slide transition, right? We're going to pass in some props, and then we just do return. It returns a component, slide, and direction is down because that's what we want. And then whatever props we have, we just pass it here like that. So then I can do here slide transition like so. So that takes care of that. Now I'm going to make it a permanent variant equals permanent because I don't want to, when you click away or this or that, it goes away. So that's why we're going to do the permanent and permanent. All right, so that's that. And then open will be based on the open prop, and I want this to be full screen like that. All right, so now that we have that, then we need to add a title, and then what we can do is right here for the title we can add some props. So I can say SX, and the only thing I'm going to do is just give it some background. And the background will be colors dot, whoa, not colorize, colors dot secondary like that. Okay, and then what we need is inside of it, of course, we need something. So we'll say box, and this will be a display of flex and align items center and justify content, and we'll say center. Okay, all right, and then we'll say product title, right? So whatever you want to put, you can put here. And then the other thing we need is a close icon so that we can close the, I guess, the dialog. And for that, I will use the material UI icon, the close icon like that. And then I can come here and I can, after the product title, I can say icon button like that. And then when we click this, then we want to call that on close handler. And then I can say close icon like so. Now the problem is that we're not seeing the dialog, so I think we need to see it. And the way to do it is we're going to use a kind of different approach. So I'm going to use a hook for that. All right, so within the hook, I'll say use dialog model.js, right? And then in here, I'll say export default function use dialog model, right? So this is we're gonna pass in a component to this hook, and that's how it's gonna use that to open the dialog. So we can say const, I will say open, set open, and we'll say use state false. And then the other thing I want to do is create a function. We'll say open dialog. Okay, and this will be a callback. And what we want to do is we will say set open to true, right? And we're not going to pass in any, because we don't want this to change on any argument, so just pass an empty array. Okay, so now we need to return something from here, which will be the dialog component itself. So we need to create that. So I'll say const dialog component, right? And again, this is a callback again. And we need to pass in some props to it. And this will be, whoa, we'll say like that. And this will, whenever the open changes or the component, whoa, not compose, the component, then we want this to change. So I'll say component. Now within the props, what we want to pass? Well, whatever props somebody passed. So we're just going to do like this. The spread operator. All right, so we want to do is if not open, then just return null, right? That there's no component, nothing. But if a component is given to us, right, then we want to return a component. Okay, open will be open, and then on close. So this will be a callback function. So whoever is using this hook and passing in a component, this callback, then they have to define a callback that we're going to call for them. So we will say set open to false, right? And then any other props we want to pass to the underlying material UI dialog. All right. So for here, we're just using the callback to close the dialog, pretty much, honestly. All right, so now that we're done with this, then what we can do is come here and I can say return dialog component, not dialog, component, and open dialog, like that. All right, so this is our hook that we're going to use to open and close the dialog, and now we can use it, to do the action. So if I come here and let me close the Appbar, I'm going to go to the products and let's go to single product, and this is where we can use it. All right, so what I can do is I can say const, let me close this so we have more real estate. We're going to use that hook, so say product detail dialog, and we'll say show product detail dialog, and then close product detail dialog. All right, and this is coming from the use dialog model. Now, so it's going to take a component, and the component is that product detail that we created right here. If I show you guys, so this is the one we're going to pass in. So I'll do product detail like that. So that gets passed. So now we need to add that here, because if you don't add it, then you won't actually see it. So I'll say product detail dialog, and it's going to take a product, and the product is that product, this product actually. All right, and when do we show this dialog? Well, when you close this full screen icon, so fit screen icon actually. So I'll come here and I'll say on click is equal to show. So this function we'll call show product detail dialog. So I'll say this, and we'll call it, let's save it, and let's see this in action. Nice, so this is working nice. You can see the dialog opens and closes. That's great. All right, so the way it works is we go to the use dialog model, and we pass in that component that we created. So that's the component, and basically we return that component back to us so that we can then use it here. That's the product detail dialog right there. And then we also have this function show product detail dialog. And then if I go back to my hook, then we call this function open dialog. So you can call it whatever you want. And when we call that function, this sets to true, which makes this true, and basically we show the dialog. So pretty nifty. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for the desktop. Honestly, we just need to hook it to this button. So I can actually copy all of this and then go to the product detail desktop and add it here. And then I can go back and we need to import the product detail, the dialog model. So I'll copy that and we can add it here like that. And finally, I need to go back here, copy this line, and I need to add it anywhere, it doesn't matter. Let's save it, and then again on the fit screen, I need to show it, so I'll copy this one, and then I'll come here, and on the, on this button, I'll add it. Okay, so if we go now to the desktop version and I click on this, great, it's still showing it. So you can do the same for the share icon, just follow the same kind of process, create a hook and maybe just call an API to share it, but we'll implement that in future. So now let's add the rest of the stuff from the product detail. So the plumbing is done, so we need to now just beautify this. All right. Okay, so if I come here, the one thing I see is they're too close to each other. So maybe I can change this to space between. There you go. So now they're far apart. And now what we need to do is within the content, we need to display the rest of the stuff. So for that, we'll create a wrapper, and I'll just do it right here. Don't need to go anywhere else. I'll say const product detail wrapper, and this will be a styled, and it will be this one. I'm going to say box, right? And what do we want to do? Well, I want to pass in the theme, and I want to do this like what we have been doing. All right, and actually there's a function, so you need to do this. All right, and what I want to do is display of flex, and I can do padding. I can just use something from the theme. So I'll say theme dot padding and sorry, spacing. Yeah, 4. So if you want your consistent spacing around your theme, so you can use this way. And then we need one for the info. So I'll say const product detail info wrapper, and again styled box. For this one, I don't need to pass in anything, so we'll leave it as is. All right, and this one I'll just honestly copy from here and paste it. This is a display flex column, means just one line in one column actually, and then give it a max width and line height. So nothing fancy here. All right, so the other thing I need is before I use the product detail wrapper is we need to switch the display based on mobile or desktop, because on that mobile I want the image first and then the rest of the data, but on desktop I might want the image on the left side and then the other stuff on the right side. All right, so for that we can use the media query thing we have been using all along. So I can just do const theme is equal to use theme. I get a hold of the theme hook, and then I say const matches is equal to use media query, and I'll say theme dot breakpoints. Points dot down empty. All right, so that'll be my mobile devices. All right, so then I can go in here and start using the product detail wrapper. All right, so what I want to do is I want to say a flex direction. Okay, if it's mobile. All right, so if it matches, then I want to be column, otherwise I want to do row. All right, so that's that. And then I want to do product, right? And I want to do sx is equal to margin right of 4, like that. And inside of this, I want to do product image. We created as before, so we will utilize it again, and we will say product dot image, like so. All right, so there you go. That's your product image. And if I now do this, you see how it's on the side, but if I go small screen, then it becomes bigger. All right, so that's that. And now we need to, within the, need to create the info now. So we'll say product info wrapper, and within this, we will create a typography variant subtitle 1, and this will be, let's say, the SKU number, let's say 123. So this usually should come from a server on database somewhere, but if you're just doing a mockups, then that's fine to just hard code it. So now I'll just copy and paste the next one. All right, so we got 5 in stock, and then maybe I also want to display the product name. So I'll say typography, if I get it, and I might want to give it some line height of 2. All right, and this one is a variant of H4, and then I'll say product dot name super backpack. All right, so I got my that, and then I want to do a description, so I will actually just quickly type that and be back. All right, so I just basically have a variant of body, and I copy and pasted the description a couple of times. And then the other thing is I want to now create the increment and decrement component. I did that in one of my videos. I will post a link in the description, but I will create it here nonetheless. So to do that, I will come here, and within the components, I'll create a new folder. Let's call it UI. And then within that, I'll create 2 files. It will be the index.js, and then one will be clamp. So as I said, I've done this before in my other video. So if you want to watch that, just watch it. The clamp is just a function that I'll paste here. And what it's doing is just doing the minimum, just making sure that we don't go below a certain minimum and above a certain maximum. And I've explained that in the other video. So that's that. And then I have the actual control. So the control is nothing but just 2 buttons and a text field. So I'll say export default, and we'll say function, and we'll say increment, decrement. All right, and we'll say return. So we'll use a box, and we'll use a display of flex on it. Right, and then now let's do a icon button. Okay, and we want to give it some SX. All right, so border radius of nothing, and a background of, all right, what do I want to do? I want to do colors dot secondary. Actually, it should bring the colors. I don't know why it didn't. Colors, yeah, secondary, like so. So now I can then come here and also have a click handler. So I'll say click. All right, and we want to set the value. So what's the value? Well, we need a hook for that. So I'll say const, we'll say value, set value, and use state of 1. So we'll start with 1. We want them at least to buy 1 value, well, 1 item. And then here I can do const the clamp, and we will do clamp. That's the function we created. And I'll say the minimum is 1, maximum is 10. So we want to just hold it between these 2 values. All right, so when the button is clicked, we want to do something. So I'll say set value, right? And we can do the clamp function. And let's just do value -1, like that. All right, and then I can close this. And this one, for this one, I'll use the remove icon. Actually, I'll just bring the icons from material UI, icons, like that. So I will do remove icon like so. So let's use this so we can see it in action. So if I come here and I can see increment, decrement. All right, so here's our nice minus. Well, nothing is happening because we haven't done anything yet. But so if I come here to here, then I can add the other button. And honestly, it's the same exact button. But the only thing is we need to come here and I'll say typography. All right, and I will put the value here. That's the value, and then I will take this button, icon button, copy it, paste it, and the only thing I'll change is maybe I'll call it add. I don't know if it's add or add icon. Right, and then I want to do +1. Whoa, like that. So if I do increment, there you go. So you see how it's clamped to 1, and then if I go to 10, it's clamped to 10. Now this looks a bit ugly. This font, this text right now, so maybe we could do a little bit of work on it. So for this, I'll use a variant of H6. All right, that's a bit bigger, but we could do a little bit better. So I'll give it a border. The border will be 1 pixel solid colors dot secondary. So that's that, and I could do a little bit of padding. Padding. All right, that's because I don't have a comma here, so beautiful. I think that looks nice. Yeah. All right, so that's our clamp thing. So I'm gonna go back here, and I think we should put this in a box just to tidy things up. So I'll say box, and then we just give it a SX, and we'll just do margin top of 4 and display of flex. Whoa. Okay, flex, and no, not here. And I want to do align items center, and I keep putting this, I don't know why. And also justify content equal to space between. And the reason is, I'll show you why, is because I want to add this button, right? And the variant is contain, and this should say add to cart. All right, button is not found. That's because it didn't bring it. So we can come here and bring it ourselves. Actually, they should come here. There you go. So our add to cart button is right here. And then the other thing we're missing is maybe some social icons. So we can use those. So I will copy them from before. So it's the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the favorite. So let's get these. All right, save it. All right, and we need to use them. Okay, let me tidy this up. All right, so what do we need? Well, we're gonna throw this in a boxes again. So I'll say box and display of flex and align items center. And now I want to just change the colors a bit. So I'll say margin top 4, and a color, I'll do colors dot light. Okay, so I have favorite icon. If it will pick it up, F favorite icon, and then I'll just give it a margin right of 2, and let's save it and see. There you go. And I will do add to wish list, right? So this will be add to wish list. And then what I also want to do is maybe create another box, right? And then I'll do some SX on this, margin top of 4, and then maybe the same color of gray. So let's do, whoa, like so. And then within this one, I'll put the Facebook icon. All right, and there you go. And I also want to put the Twitter icon, and maybe I want to put the Instagram icon like that. I can see they're a bit close to each other, so maybe I need to do a padding left of 2. There you go. That looks nice. And how about here? Yeah, there you go. So you could also, I think, do theme.spacing of 4, and that'll be more consistent. So maybe let me do that. There you go. That looks much better. So this takes care of the detail dialog. So here it is for the, here is your detail dialog for this bag, and this is for mobile. And we're going to switch to desktop, and let's see. Here you go. So now it changed the orientation. And if I click on this one, then it's like that. All right, so this should wrap up the, Material UI React e-commerce website. You saw a lot of tips and tricks, and it took a while actually for me to prepare this because just busy with lots of other things. But I will be adding more to this. It doesn't end here. We might want to connect this to Amazon AWS to pull in these images. We should also be able to add account creation, add the favorites, and then also shopping cart. So lots will be added to this. So this is just the front end part. So stay tuned and please like and subscribe, and bye for now.